And welcome here on this lovely Tuesday evening. Thank you so much for joining us with the Unified Advanced League Playoffs. Day one of the playoffs. We are going to have some fun here with the round of 16. You know us, you love us. It's Orbital coming from outer space and Random Minion Caster plucked from Wave 3. We are excited to come and cast this game, which will be Manitoba Bisons versus Team Ambition Black. Two teams that we have seen that have had some high points, some low points, and everything in between.
Here, and for these two teams, Manitoba Bisons and Team Ambition Black, these are interesting teams for us to look at because they're veterans kind of to the league. Manitoba Bisons, the name's kind of new, but this is most of the old Winnipeg Wombats who did manage to secure third place in the summer split. And on the other side, Team Ambition Black here, we cast them back in the first week of the regular season. We're now casting them here in the first week of the playoffs as well. They are less than the Skeletons. There are two players here from the previous Mad City, both OG and wildcard team. Castle, the jungler, the captain, came from that first place team, Mad City OG. And Axum, the top laner for tonight, came from Mad City wildcard here. So the closest things we have to a reigning champion here in UAL.
Yeah, you know, no more reigning champion, but that still means that we're going to have a lot of fun here. We're going to get to see teams kind of step up and see what they can give. I think most notably that we do have to take a look at, though, is Team Ambition Black. There were, you know, interviews that were had, I think you pointed out earlier in the season, stating that for them, regular season is just an entry into the playoffs, right? That is all they care about. Doesn't matter what place they get. They just want to make it to playoffs. Well, they've succeeded. Now they got to show up. Now they got to prove that, hey, we have what it takes to move all the way to the top.
Fair enough. And when I spoke to them at that time, I spoke to Jiggity, the previous captain of Mad City OG, who was stepping aside, letting Castle take over. And now Castle's taken over. I spoke to Castle, and Castle tells me it's a for-fun team here. That said, their roster changes have not been just for fun. This particular roster they're running with Axum, with Rascal, have only played 1 week, and that was last week, week 5. But Team Ambition Black are coming off a 2-week win streak, and last week's games looked incredibly clean. Axum is a beast in the top lane. I also had the pleasure of watching him in Risen Divine, and the man takes over lanes. He's really enabling Castle, and Rascal as well, being moved down from the top lane to the mid lane, really has seemed to enable Castle as well. Seems to have really good synergy here. And I don't know if it's maybe moving to the shorter lane, but Rascal just feels more impactful, more comfortable there.
Yeah, that is something that the roster swaps do allow, right? Being able to swap up your members, being able to find where they're comfortable with, especially in such a short time frame. I think that's something that I really have to talk about. But as we get into draft here between these two teams, we will see the Manitoba Bisons on that blue side, TAB, Team Ambition Black, on the red. To kick things off, of course, you do see their seeding placement. Cloud 2 seed for Manitoba Bisons, and of course, the third mountain seed for TAB. It's going to be interesting, right? We haven't even touched on the fact that Manitoba Bisons feel pretty solid overall. They were a team that we almost got to watch, I believe, and yet inconsistent results in their past history. But it's yet to be really confirmed if they almost deserve that second seed spot.
I mean, if anything, they would probably argue they don't really deserve that second seed spot, but the first seed spot, because they were in contention for first right up to the very last week, where they ran into Bethany, Lutheran Black, and that was the game they lost and knocked into second seed. But otherwise, they could very well have been first. Now, both these teams have already said coming into tonight's game, it's less about the opponents and more about themselves. They're both looking to play their best, and they think that if they play their best, they should do well here. So the bans coming out right away, the Yuumi ban here doesn't really feel targeted at Team Ambition's Black support. Turk here. Turk plays a lot of tankier engages for the most part, not so much the enchanters, but Manitoba Bisons, you know, they just want to remove that strong pick off the table. They don't want to even risk it getting out of the rift.
On the flip side, though, it's a very targeted ban here. Malzahar, a champion that we have seen kind of start being used a little bit more, but it's still not in that meta pool. I say it because I like playing it, because it's lazy, it's easy, it's simple. Press R, that's all you have to do, but it is banned away, very targeted, I believe, towards that mid lane.
You're toxic, Orbital, and I say that as an also hard player. But yes, it is also Kep's most played champion this split so far. So it's a nice thing to just remove off of Kep. It's such a safe champion. It's so difficult to punish, and it can really stick in the throat of your composition if you're trying to play anywhere through that mid lane. So I like to see it removed. Lilia now being taken away as well from Castle. I believe Castle has played the Lilia, but it's not really up there in terms of priority for him. It is such a strong general pick, though, and AP junglers in the current meta, there's not a lot of options. Diana's sort of fallen out of the meta for the most part, so it feels like they're trying to put Castle back onto, you know, those AD style champions here.
Yeah, well, what they're really trying to do is pinch Kep right now. That's 2 thrown into that mid lane, and Manitoba Bisons might be wondering if they do need to look at securing that first round mid lane pick, even if it's on the safer side, depending on how it's going to play out. But for right now, they are still focused on that bot lane, a potential Rel cover and a potential Rel ban, or a Thresh, a little bit more all-around ban to take away from Turk's.
Okay, and again, with the Thresh, Turk has played it once here in the regular season. I think Team Ambition Black are more than happy right now with the bans that they're seeing. I don't think it's going to impact their game plan too much unless there's some sort of scrims or leaked information I'm unaware of. Team Ambition Black taking out the Tryndamere now. I'm trying to check right now if Kep has actually played that Tryndamere. He has not, but I'm still happy to remove that because I am so sick of seeing Tryndamere. You know who has played it? Tom in that top lane. So either way, I'm glad it's taken off the table.
I feel that was more a respect ban over to you, RMC. They were just like, look, our caster doesn't like Tryndamere, so we might as well give him a nice time for game 1 at least. What we will see is the Graves locked in, most likely has that jungle, you said it, trying to push the junglers into that AD position. Might as well go with Graves, a still very heavy, powerful jungler. And the return fire for Sin being covered, potentially locked in.
Now, I don't know if that Graves is going jungle. It is a flex pick here. Tomato Tom has actually been playing more Graves than Taythalis here, so I suspect right now it's more looking at the top lane. The Lee Sin, though, that one's probably at the jungle. I don't want to call it a signature pick of Castle here, but certainly when I think back to last split, when I think of Castle, I do think of Lee Sin. He's really good on the champion, early ganks, pressure, and even in the late game, his ability to set up plays was immaculate on that champion.
With that hover, it was swapped out from the Aurelia at the last moment, so it is a blind pick Syndra. Coming in here potentially in that bot lane, but I still favor it in mid. I like it in mid more, but still giving up your hand saying, hey, probably not going to be our primary playmaker, just there for the scout of the weeks, maybe a few unleashed powers. So Manitoba Bisons go cool. Immobile mid lane, we'll start hovering a few engagements of our own.
And I love the fact that you mentioned the Syndra can go bot, because All For One has been playing a lot of AP carries down that bot side. The change away at the last second here, I did really like the J4 because I think you punish Syndra regardless which lane she goes to. Xin Zhao, not quite as strong on the punish. You certainly can still do so, but Scatter the Weak in the early level should be sufficient to keep this Syndra safe here. Now the AD carry being hovered by Manitoba Bisons here. Misfortune is a very strong generic pick, but they've locked in the Jhin instead for Zev. A lot of lane pressure to come through, and I actually think that Jhin has a more comfortable laning phase into that Syndra should it come down to that.
And I think that's just a tease right there. I would not enjoy watching a Yasuo come out here for that composition, but it's
plays
TAB,
a lot of it.
and it is like
Orbital, the man's name is Roscoe. Do you really think he cares if you want it? No, man. Roscoe's gonna do what Roscoe wants, and the Yasuo is something that he's been playing a lot of. I think if we're talking about mid lane champions, it's probably the one that he's been playing the most. Roscoe, originally the top laner for Team Ambition Black here, and he's got the setup, Scatter the Weak stun. I believe has a knock-up portion to it when you're pushing people back as well.
Yeah, it's every single character here so far does have of some sort. I want to say even, you know, one of the more egregious champions to lock in with it is the Alistar. You know, you were talking about engage before, so maybe Turk would like to opt for that, especially amplify that power. But we're seeing the other bans come through really targeted towards that top lane, potentially the Vladimir being banned away, maybe against Kep as well. but the Camille Hover, this is one of those champions that could really destroy your composition if you're Manitoba Bisons, if you allow that Camille to get ahead, and all of a sudden your Graves, your Zins out, or your Jhin are completely locked down.
Yeah, and I think you do target the top lane if you are Manitoba Bisons here. It's a bit late to try and pinch that bot side pool. If you look at what Turk likes to play in solo queue, Thresh, Rakan, Gragas, Alistar, all of them, Trundle, all of them have knockups here, so you can't really stop the knockups coming through. You might as well try and give Tom as comfortable a lane as possible. And now that we've seen the Xin Zhao as well, you know that Graves has about a 50% chance of going to that top lane. Maybe it goes mid here. Camille is such a good answer to that Graves. You get to engage, you get to sort of dodge out a lot of his damage here. I do like the takeaway.
What's interesting to say the least is, again, this hard focus on that top side, it feels like, coming out of Manitoba Bisons. I understand why, but really saying that, hey, Tom is going to be the carry. If this is a ban, that is going to be the Jax. So, again, Team Ambition Black. What are you going to do here? Yes, you're locking in. You're showing the power on that bottom side. Everything's there. So maybe just go with the tank in the top side. Let Axum kind of play a backseat role here.
Sorry, tag for Axum? I don't think that exists, my man. The Camille and Jax bans coming out is because of the limited information Manitoba Bisons have on Team Ambition Black. Axum only played 1 week, 2 games. They won 2-0, and in both those games, Axum was a carry threat. So it's unfortunate. I don't think they have full information, but like I said, I've seen Axum in other leagues. I remember Axum from last year. Axum likes to carry. So I wouldn't be surprised to see something, you know, like a Gnar maybe for knockups, or an Aatrox, a pocket Aatrox that he has to continue giving more setup for Rascal here.
Yeah, listen. I understand that I like one thing, the teams don't like what I say. There's a reason I'm not a coach. There's a reason I'm not a player. It's lovely. It's great. But I was looking for AP on Manitoba Bison's side, and the Heimerdinger is one that does cause a lot of chaos against a Yasuo if it gets ahead or anything, but the more stable pick would be within that TF, within that. I like that lock-ins, try and slow down anyone that tries to go in. It's a good mix of constant pressure damage.
Yeah, I really like this Cassiopeia pickup. I was looking at the Heimerdinger, I was like, does he even play Heimer? I mean,
it's not difficult, let's be honest here.
You
I'm
think
gonna
that,
get so much flack for
but
that.
against the Yasuo, it actually gets kind of complicated because he can dash around your turrets, right? And it becomes a comfort pick, then becomes complicated. Malphite, okay. Axum, I feel like I'm getting trolled here. Where's my carry Axum? You know what? Maybe we get AP Malphite because AP Malphite actually kind of works into Graves. That's it. I would be a little bit surprised because when you look at this composition for Manitoba Bisons right now, it's a lot of physical damage overload. Graves, Xin Zhao, if you build traditional tank Malphite, you're not going to be able to kill Axum. And you're going to need to rotate Kept up to that top lane. If Kept is moving, I'm assuming Rascal is shadowing, and Axum Rascal, that combo is going to be the linchpin for this entire composition here. Get the knockups, get the last breath, and let Rascal carry on Yasuo.
100%. I have to agree with that. I mean, the entire position hinged on that. And especially against a Cassiopeia, one that I've played, and it's skill-based once again, right? Because of the mana changes, right? Still, it's very difficult for mana-dependent champions to get off. So it definitely feels like this Cassiopeia was like, hey, we need AP, but we also need a way to slow down the Yasuo and just get a little bit of a slowing depth. I like it. Still some question marks and a lot of different focus than what we were expecting, right? You said it, Axum in the top side, probably not going to go tank, goes the tank. In the mid lane, the Yasuo comes out, one that they practice in the Syndra to the bot lane. I mean, do you feel this crazy composition is going to be enough to take game one?
For the side of Team Ambition Black, I do think this is actually a comfort composition for the most part for them here. I think they're very, very comfortable with it. I love what they've dropped, and I do think their composition gives them pretty good chances of winning. It just comes down to Rascal, whether or not Manitoba Bisons can lock down this Yasuo. Because when you look at the individual lanes, like I said, Malphite's going to enjoy that lane into Graves, especially once he starts building some items. Bot lane, Leona Syndra, it's a kill lane. You know, I don't hate the Jhin into it, but it is still a little bit rough for the Jhin. They do have the Alistar to try and answer some of the engage, so that's nice as well. But post 6, it's so difficult for Jhin to try and lane any sort of scatter of the week, and he's probably going to drop dead. Team fights, we touched on that. Manitoba Bisons, on the other hand, their composition is very standard for the current meta. it's a typical front-to-back composition in terms of what it is they want to do. If you allow them to scale up, they definitely can be an absolute menace. And as long as they survive the initial burst, as long as they don't get absolutely wrecked by that Yasuo, Cassiopeia sustained damage, Graves sustained damage, Sinchao's tankiness, and you don't think of sustained damage when you think of Jin, but he is still an AD carry. If he gets multiple rotations of that force shot off as well, they will definitely be able, pardon me, to out damage Team Ambition Blacks. The remaining damage after Yasuo is done.
Oh yeah, it's the scariness overall as we do go ahead and hop into game here. Game number 1 of the evening, the first game of the playoffs here for the Unified Advanced League. So let's go ahead. We touched on them a little bit earlier, but let's run down the full rosters for each of these squads. On the blue side will be the Manitoba Bisons in the top lane. Tomato Tom going at it on the Graves. Tathalis in the jungle, kept in the mid lane. Zev at ADC, and Sync at support.
And on the red side here, there's going to be Team Ambition Black in the top lane. Axum walking away from danger here in the jungle. Castle watching his jungle get invaded. Mid lane, it's going to be Rascal on that Yasuo. In the bot lane, it's all for one, and Turk holding it up.
Seeing that early fight, early invade gives me a little bit of hope, right? I'm interested to see a lot of aggression come out of these teams. Both of them kind of realize the objective for both of their compositions. Like, this is probably the most clear cut I've seen, you know, the win conditions for teams come out to be, right? Hey, on the red side, we're looking at Rascal. You want that Yasuo to pop off. You quite literally built a composition around it. On the flip side, it's all about kind of disengaging those fights, you know, not allowing those fights to go off exactly like the Wombo combo they want. Can it get clear into this? Can it get any more understandable of what these teams have to do?
I mean, yes, it could be, but not really overall. As you mentioned, this is pretty clear cut. The only clear situation I can imagine is two absolute team fight teams just trying to go at it, and then it just becomes who can engage faster. That said, at this level of play, we are in the UAL. This is Diamond Up, and generally speaking, simple, straightforward engage comps do tend to suffer because you know exactly what it is they want to do. So if Manitoba Bisons never clump up, then they should theoretically be safe. And it's only theoretical because Castle exists. And this Lee Sin is there to also set up a lot of these fights. I want to see Castle get flanks off later on in the game, but right off the bat, I want to see the junglers ganking because both Lee Sin and Xin Zhao are such strong early junglers.
Not just that, it's pretty much destined that they are probably going to have to get a gank off, considering they both started on their red side. And going for full clears does mean that they should hit the level 3-4 mark in a simple fashion. And depending on how these lanes match up, they might have some juicy lanes. Like on the top side, you wouldn't really expect it, but Tomato Tom and Axum are going at it pretty hard here.
Yeah, and that's just what you kind of need to do when you're laning to a Mel fight. If you are trying to chunk him out, it's got to be constant aggression or that shield refreshes, and Axum's able to trade back. We do see Tathalis looking up top, though, but this dive gets a little bit iffy here. There is still flash on Axum. The wave is starting to push him.
And I like this gank. They're gonna try and do this tower dive, but he hits level 3, so this might be a little bit dicey, but they get the little bit of attack.
Okay.
Tathalis is gonna eat a lot of damage. Jump out into the save. And first blood going the way of the Manitoba Bisons. Very clean dive, if I will say.
Yeah, and I want to point out too that the flash being blown very, very early. You tag him up, you do the damage, you disengage. There's trust there coming through between these teams. Tathalis going that, okay, I know Tom's going to be able to finish that off. And great start from Manitoba Bisons here. You needed to see them get that good start because I was getting worried, you know, in draft I mentioned that Malphite will eventually become an issue for Graves and you can't really punish that. The bot lane's going to become a problem as well. So getting these early leads is key to making sure that you don't fall apart in mid game.
Yeah, not just that, considering the fact that the rest of the lanes are actually going in TAB's favor, we saw mid lane Rascal actually have a pretty good set of damage onto Kept, who actually had 2 recalls, so that gave Rascal, I think, about a wave and a half of experience up, depending if they were able to be pushed in. But now we get to see Tathalis looking like he wants to try and gank. Rascal, of course, being able to pull off to the side, is able to minimize that damage he takes.
Yeah, and from that you can kind of see the comfort Rascal has in this champion. He knows exactly what he can and can't take. Root comes down onto all for one here.
And I don't think he realizes the nice flash out in time. Castle is going to be able to flash in and take an assist as that kill will go Turk's way with the Ignite.
Unfortunately, because it is this early at 1 minute here, the timing's a little bit off for that Dragon take. And instead, I expect to see Team Ambition reset. And by the time they come back in, Castle probably won't want to be bot side. His jungle pathing would probably be more comfortable top side here. And there's a window of opportunity if Manitoba Bisons want to try and look for that. But instead, we don't see the backs. They're going for mid.
Yeah, and this is actually a good knock over as Turk was waiting. So, surprise, your gank has been forced into the open. Zinc Juice is just like, yeah, I did that. I did that.
That was actually quite funny watching Zinc Juice just come in. And I don't think Turk was watching it.
That Leona came over, and I was like, how did Leona jump that quickly? That's all I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, Hex Flash, but Hex Flash wasn't used. I was thinking there's like, oh, they're going to Hex Flash over this wall. They're going to go for the dive, but really good interrupt, really good way to stop that from happening. And then the backs are now coming out later from Turk, all for one, despite getting the kill or getting the assist on that kill on Zev, is actually down experience as well right now and just stuck under his own turret.
I think that's always going to happen. As a Syndra here in the bottom lane, your power comes from the Leona combinations, right? You're a CC chain that will lock down Zev if his cleanse is not up, right? That is what you're kind of looking for. So without it, might as well leave a little bit of lane exposure in case you do want to combo, right? You can't really combo under a tower. It's a little bit difficult to do that with the two. So I like how they are playing. Just try and CS. Get back into that position where you can get some extra damage down. Overall, though, very quiet as TAB take a 300 gold lead. And that's really coming, I think, from the mid lane and the jungles.
How bloodthirsty are you, Orbital? It's only 6 minutes. We've already had 2 kills.
I want all the blood.
Well, we probably won't see any. Team Ambition does get to set up for Dragon here first, and Manitoba Bison's completely not looking for that. Instead, Take Dallas is looking to try and shut down Axum further here. And this time, he's brought a buddy for that dive. Sync Juice up there as well.
Yeah, being forced off does mean that TAB have recognized the fact that their Dragon take has kind of put Axum into a rough spot, meaning that they're going to try a dive of their own here on the bot side. But remember, Zev has full HP and full summoner spells, so at least burning a cleanse would be all they can do. Cleanse out. Might not have to burn the flash, as a nice sidestep means Castle is going to be hit by a minuscule bit of rebuttal damage.
Did start adding up after a while. There's no minions here, so Turk has to tank that up. I do want to highlight Zev's patience on that cleanse there. He did the right thing. He waited up the actual Shield of Daybreak and then just insta-cleanse the Zenith Blade coming in. So he made sure that he took minimal damage. The Sunlight passive was never procced. Really well played from him. And top side, as we see Axum get back to lane, that's 3 plates taken down by Tomato Tom. This Graves is starting to take off. And sure, Malphite does great into Graves. We see that right there. But that's a lot of damage he's taking and a lot of shutdown time for this Malphite here.
It's not just that. That could be a pretty easy Rift Herald into first tower. But so far, mid lane still being one of the pressure points. And Axum, of course, trying to go ham in that minion wave. He has the Corrupting Potions being kind of chugged there. So Axum's starting to win out these fights, even though Tomato Tom has a decent bit of gold. I don't think he's been able to spend it, though.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how much he has in his actual pocket there, but I do want to highlight level 6 hit. Oh, thank you, Observer. Okay, so he's got quite a bit. Yeah, 1,009. He hasn't spent that. Once he does, he should get the advantage. And if anything, this increases the urgency for me, for Team Ambition, to gank this top lane. You have the unstoppable force here. There's a lot of burst damage, and Graves doesn't get a lot of early magic resistance here, so it's very easy to set up for either Castle or even Rascal, who now has Last Breath as well.
Rascal's been actually playing extremely aggressive, and this is what I was kind of worried about, right, in this Yasuo versus Cassio matchup. Unless you have constant help from your jungler on the Cassio PS side, you actually don't win it as much as you would like, right? It's the late game scaling like you were talking about. You need to wait to get your mana items to be able to start kind of chunking out the Yasuo. Unless for some reason Yasuo decides to just walk into a empowered phase, right, without the wind wall. Other than that, Rascal has done very well in mitigating those early game advantages that Taytalis was trying to help Kept get.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that Cassio can sometimes try and do to win the lane is get the Petrifying Gaze, and we did get to see a little bit of that, but unfortunately, Turk and Castle were in rotation at that point. And Taythaus has done a great job shadowing that mid lane, trying to cover Kept for most of the time. It's one of the reasons why we've not seen Taythaus getting too many ganks off, especially in that bot side. It's all been about that mid top. And now Manitoba Bisons needs to repay that attention as Herald is up, but no one is there. Kept walking out of base. Taytel is walking out of base. Sync coming along as well, but by the time they get there, I think Herald's gone.
That would put it at 2 global objectives going into TAB's pocket. That'll be huge, but Turk hasn't been spotted out, but now is spotted with a little bit of a knock-up. Last breath onto the other side, so it's a little bit of a split fight. Nice custom guard to get him right back into the team, and that is going to be the kill. Kept is able to find one, but a return kill has been made. Sync Juice has to flash out. Unleash Power landing directly onto Kept, but that is going to be unstoppable force. You can't flash into the Rock as the Rock wins. It's all about power. It's all about drive as Tom has to run away.
Great rotation from Team Ambition. It comes down to Summoner. We kind of didn't touch on the teleport. For all for one, their castle still fishing here for a dive as well as they dropped out in the back. But all for one's teleport meant that all for one got there earlier, faster, and the stun was what really turned the fight. The petrifying gaze was great, but they couldn't follow up when all for one was there.
Just very well done by Team Ambition Black to kick things off here in game number 1. It's only 2 kills to 4, but you can see the gold starting to ramp up here. Mainly Castle, right? 2-0-2 has, I think that's, I want to say about 2.5 camp lead. Immediately picks up the Gordon Drinker. This is not going to be Assassination lead. It's going to be a lead that sticks to you consistently over and over, prepping to get that kickoff, you know, that Dragon's Rage, or even setting up Axum to get an easy ult.
Yeah, and that's exactly what you just need to do as this Lee Sin right now. You're the setup for the fight. You're not the finisher for the fight. We didn't get to see necessarily the full combo come through of the Unstoppable Force into Last Breath, but we did see Castle getting that kick to set up the Last Breath for Russell in that last fight, and that's exactly what you want to do. Team Ambition Black, they're well and ahead in most of their positions right now, despite the fact that Axum's down CS, despite the fact that All For One's down CS. Their goal is going to be fairly similar. The experience is pretty decent for them here. The most unfortunate thing I think that came out the last fight for Team Ambition was that Roscoe didn't get any of the kills. He only got assists there, and you want to snowball this Yasuo above all others.
A little bit of jump out of the Dragon Pit as it is up, and so that means everyone's going to be fighting over it. It's kind of crazy to think that TAB are fighting for it so early, even though it's a mountain, but you know, they're the ones that want to do that dragon stacking. They're the ones that want to get that advantage. And Turk is here to try and run interference, but the Syndra is a little bit late on the flank, so this is going to be trying to get a little poke. A nice solar flare, though, is able to catch him off the back end. Tomato Tom, along with Kep, though, are both going to TP in, and that is going to be the kills. 2 for 1 so far. It opens up the curtain call, and the Dragon helps out with a few assists. Triple kill coming in for the Cassiopeia. Rascal going to run away. Kill given over to Zev, and that will be the Manitoba Bisons taking a 4-2 fight.
Really good split there coming through from Manitoba Bisons. The TP coming out as well. The positions of the TP, I think, more important this time. Axum kind of stuck over the wall, and unfortunately for All For One there, he just got wiped out really early in that fight. Didn't even get to use the Unleashed Power, so that's a lot of damage for the Syndra. You pick the Syndra for that burst, and a lot of that burst is outloaded here. So really good fight back, really good clap back from Manitoba Bisons, when they really should have been the ones at a weaker point in the team fight at this point in the game.
Such a well-fought fight. I don't have any other words for it, right? It's very well done that Manitoba Bisons were able to contest one of those because they'd lost the first 2 already, right? If they hadn't lost that, they would have probably already had, I want to say first tower, would have gotten quite a bit of gold, but instead they're kind of forced into just trying to play catch-up, keep it even across the board. And with the bottom lane kind of pushed out by Manitoba Bisons, TAB are going to get a plate here on the bot side for All For One and Turk.
Yeah. Well, for Manitoba Bisons there, like you said, keeping them in the game. But for Team Ambition, it's not game ending here to lose that. They do have to be careful of this gank, though.
Oh, and that's a great follow. A nice solar flare, though, but an even better flash Q, and that is going to be Zev. Following up with a nice root on Turk. It looks like they're going to be able to chase it down. A nice little chunk of HP comes through, and that will be Manitoba Bisons winning the bot side. Castle in the mid lane, though, Kept is able to win it out with the Alistar. So across the board, huge wins for Manitoba Bisons as TAB are forced off of their lanes and their towers.
Individually, mechanically right now, Manitoba Bisons just outperformed in that last minute in multiple lanes. Tomato Tom getting that first turret and is actually, can he get out away from this? Castle's coming.
I think they might chase pretty hard for it. Yeah, that's going to be Unstoppable Force being used, but of course, that nice flash out means he does survive. Tomato Tom is able to use that shield, those heals coming through to make sure he survives and gives enough time for his bot lane to take a second.
These flashes from Manitoba Bison's AD carries are blowing my mind right now. Zev flashing over the extra damage from All For One. If he gets hit by that orb, he's dead. Tomato Tom flashing to dodge that sonic wave as well. He gets hit, he's dead. And it's these micro differences right now which are snowballing completely out of control. They went from down 1,000 gold to up 2,000 gold right now. And for Team Ambition Black, this has to be weighing on the back of their minds. Doesn't mean game over, not even close. But it does mean that in the individual lanes right now, at least the side lanes, Team Ambition Black are on the back foot.
Oh, Rascal wants to change that as that's going to be a nice dodge out, but a nice headbutt up as Sinju wants to try and play it back. But again, you can't because Cap is so low. Bottom side, though, an immediate kill with Turk, though. Once again, Turk taking the kill that, I mean, you really don't want to give over Turk. I know Leona's the strongest they're fed, but your Syndra is crying for a kill.
Yeah, and it's doubly bad for the Syndra because All For One does have the Dark Seal as well, so you really want the stacks on that seal for your AP carry. But they fight back. Team Ambition in multiple lanes, pulling the trigger there. Well played. And this Yasuo, Rascal, we talked about the mechanical outperformances from Manitoba Bisons in the side lane. It's not happening in the mid lane right now. Rascal is still a problem, and he's 0-1-5. Once he starts getting kills, you've got problems. He's the big late game carry.
Oh, a nice little root on the castle means he is dropped down to about 50% HP, but it does call the teleport in, so All For One burning that to keep mid lane pressure. Remember, as long as All For One is there, the follow-up damage from either Axum or Turk is going to be guaranteed. So mid lane, now that bot and top have been kind of broken on both sides, it's going to be the call of who wants it more, who wants that mid lane tower just a bit more.
It's also going to be about who wants these objectives more, Orbitals. Dragon's coming up in a minute. Herald's up here, and they're looking for Tom.
Oh, Tom's looking at it, but again, it's just getting out every single time. And Tathalos is ready to duke it out 2-on-2. Rest of the squad for M&B are making their way up as Sinkchu says hello. The cow is ready to play. Nice knock up into a grounded Lee Sin as Kept is now on a rampage.
Okay, this is pretty big for Manitoba Bison's part of me there, but it's not safe yet. As long as Axum and Roscoe are up here, this Herald can potentially be dicey. Axum kind of low, and the call was made to give it up. They're not going for it here. They're going for Dragon instead in 10 seconds. I'm okay with that.
Play the safer route. You're wanting to do that stacking again. Like you said, it's okay, right? Second Rift Herald doesn't mean as much as first. You're not looking for the tower plates or anything like that. You're just looking for an extra tower. But it is going to be a Cloud Soul to be played for. This helps both sides so much. Both sides have ultimates that you really want to have unleashed much earlier, and a potential 36 ability haste if you get 3. That is a massive amount of cooldown.
Tathalos doing this Dragon on his own right now. Rascal did spot him out, and Axum has teleport, but they're walking it in.
Yeah, I don't think they can really challenge it. They're going to try. It's already taken out. Now they're on the retreat, but that's going to be a knockup coming in from Sinkchu. He is going to run that best, and that's a nice knockup into last breath. Oh, are they going to make it work? But on the backside, Zev is able to find one. Can they follow up with 2? Yes, Rascal is down. Now the chase goes on. Tomato Tom kiting all the way back, but a nice double knockup means that TAB are going to get routed. The slicing through by the AD members are cleaning up house. Yes, down goes Graves, but it doesn't freaking matter as that is a quadra kill to ace for the Manitoba Bisons.
The Bisons are online now. Their composition, if you watch how that fight played out, they isolated All For One, and Rascal just got sat in the middle of everybody. That Zonia's for Kept was immaculate. That made the big difference because Rascal almost killed Kept outright. The combo between Axum and Rascal looked really good, But if you can't burst down somebody immediately, then Rascal's now left up a creek with no paddle in the middle of a whole bunch of Bisons just stampeding through. And the moment Rascal's dead, the moment All for One's dead, I don't care how many people you've killed, you don't have damage to finish that fight.
Everything going the way of the team that built specifically for countering an all-in composition. That's the best way I can put it, right? They put quite a few eggs into Tomato Tom's top lane. Yes, he's only 1, 2, and 9, but he had enough time to get a significant chunk of items in his pocket, right? He was able to go that last Whisper second without damaging his build too much. That has allowed him to start cutting through the likes of Axum, of Castle, who is starting to get a bit healthier on his own as well. The Bisons are just coming online, so for Team Ambition Black, it looked okay, right? That opening, that last breath combo with the Unstoppable Force, you can see the pieces fitting together. It just feels it has to be maybe a bit cleaner on the execution.
Yeah, and the positioning as well. I mean, the fact that they decided to walk it in rather than teleporting Axum into a flank position does make it kind of hard. Kept though. Yeah. Okay. That's Team Ambition's way back in, right? Like, you continue finding these picks. Rascal is still very difficult to match in the isolated lane. Tom, Zev, Kept, none of them have comfortable lanes into him. Speaking of Tom.
All right, well, listen,
Axum is
Tom was doing okay, but he's not exactly as tanky as he would like. That's the Unstoppable Force being used, but over the wall goes the Xin Zhao.
Oh.
And Axum will have revenge taken upon him. That will leave the mid lane open, though. So for all the fighting, I think TAB actually came out on top with how much they got.
Yeah, and a lot of that, again, coming off these picks that they're getting. It's ironic that Team Ambition Black have such a clear team fight composition, but they're gonna pretty... Oh, hold up. Okay. T-Tower should be fine. But pretty much they're gonna have to switch to this split push composition instead, because in these team fights right now, Manitoba Bison's been really good at disengaging, and when you're down in gold for Team Ambition Black, if you can't guarantee the burst and priority targets, then you don't really win the team fight. So I want to see Team Ambition Black continue leaving Rascal top or mid, just split pushing in these lanes, have Axum go to wherever, the opposite side of the map from wherever you really want to play towards, so that he can teleport in, and just watch as Rascal kind of takes over his individual lane.
And if you're TAB, I mean, who would be the person that you don't want to put Rascal up against, right? Like, this is, again, a 226 Yasuo. Man, I hate saying that name anyways. That champion just I didn't want to say it, but that champion gives me PTSD all the time. If you were MNB, if you were the Bisons, who would you want to put against Rascal, or, you know, the one that would potentially scare Rascal the most?
Your best matchup is probably Tomato Tom, who at least gets some armor from True Grit, has the Immortal Shield Bow as well, but it's still not a winning matchup. Instead, you want to rotate T-Tower. It's a knock-up, instant.
Tomato Tom with the instant flash to follow. Remember, no real ultimates, and that's going to be in a chance on the mid lane, but his nice solar flare immediately stuns up Thalos. Crescent Guard doesn't get anyone away, and Tom is still being chased. He is going to go over the wall, and remember, no one has any dashes. No one has any way to really gap close. Axum should be in range here in a second to throw a shard, and that should be plenty, but he's wasting time. He is wasting plenty of time here. So it's a straight up 4v4 at this Baron for a time being, but now in comes a nice stun onto Thalos, who is now running back towards the Malphite. Remember, no big ultimates though. Sync trying his best. That's going to be the grounding though, put out by Kept. That's going to be a knock-up again, and it looks like Manitoba Bisons are just looking to get out with more members alive. Mana expended. Deaths have been made, and Team Ambition Black, with 2 kills under their wings, are able to get the Baron.
Yeah, Manitoba Bisons just disengage, go for the Dragon instead here. You can't fight the Baron. And despite the fact that the Bisons lost that last fight, they've got some sort of Bison bull buff going on, because Singju survived way too long there. I mean, yeah, there's no AD carry to cut through you, but Rascal still does quite a bit of consistent team fight damage, and I think that the key to Manitoba Bisons winning the next couple fights is going to be Singju's tanking up this damage, you know, holding off everybody from going in. If you can isolate Rascal like we've seen, you can win the fights. And if Rascal is going in and only Axum's there to back him up, you can focus down that Yasuo. You can keep all for one out.
That is your best option to kind of win the game. But with Baron, it will be a fight on TAB's terms. They're looking like they want to put 4 mid, which is kind of the right call. Other one might be actually to pinch a very lone Tomato Tom. It's happened once or twice, and honestly, at this point, you could tower dive that outer tower very, very easily. I'm not sure if that's what they're going to do.
I mean, they're set up for it. Castle is already up there waiting. Rascal is moving up, and Manitoba Bisons have no clue. Look at them. They're all on this bottom half of the map. Tomato Tom now spotting out Castle here.
This is going to be dangerous. They're going to look at the tower. Nice kick back into the last breath. He got that. Oh, Tomato Tom's like, come on, that's spaghetti coating. I was already down on the ground. My feet were touching. There's no time to do that. Anyway, he does fall for his 5th death of the game. It's unfortunate, but that's going to be top lane broken open.
Yeah, and Manitoba trying to respond in the mid lane here. They are hard shoving, only all for one defending this right now. Rascal and Turk have gone back to base. Solo player is available.
Yep, and they're going to throw it. Thalos is taking quite a few tower shots. They did take out the tower. Either that is a bit damaging. It finally falls, but the damage has already been done. Xingqius once again is going to try and run interference, but Castle has gotten at Thalos. Is he going to survive? Yes, he does. He is actually able to stay alive, and the Cow does so well. Axum doesn't get anything out of that unstoppable force, and it means once again Xingqius is the reason, the entire reason that Manitoba Bisons are able to keep 4 alive.
Sacrificing his life for the greater cause here. That is mid lane turret currently unanswered. They did not, for the side of Team Ambition Black, get that top side inner turret. Rascal going in for Tom.
Ooh, nice sidestep on that whirlwind, but Rascal is eating a little bit of damage. Turk to follow as well. The tower might be helping him as Zev just straight up solos out the Syndra on the back end. Tom is dead a 6th time in a row. Thalos gonna be tagged out, as that will be TAB biting off a bit more than they could chew. So they only get the 1 tower and the 1 kill.
The Baron buff is effectively out. They didn't even get the mid lane inhibitor turret. So that's still standing right now. The Baron buff for Team Ambition Black was wonderfully played out by the Bisons here. They beat the power play, and they are only 1,000 gold behind. They're going to be more than happy that the scaling starting to come through. Kept is an issue. Zev is an issue, and Tomato Tom, not so big an issue right now, but if he continues getting tankier a little bit here, he is going to be harder and harder to kill. That Immortal Shield Pull right now is doing work, and you don't need Tom to be alive if he's soaking up a lot of the upfront burst damage.
Keep in mind, this is Tomato Tom trying to face off against tanks that always seem to have a 2v1 advantage, right? He has not been allowed to be on his own because of the pressure that was given towards him top. That has allowed Zev, Kept, and Thalos to actually run Rampage. We haven't even touched on the fact Zev is currently 4-0-7. He has not died a single time, and Tom gets out! That is a 2nd whiff on Axum's part. Thankfully, he is tanky. He is not AP Malphite, or that would have been his death, of course, but it's still rough. You want that unstoppable force up at all points to be able to use here, and that's going to mean the re-engage. Rascal is going to eat a couple shots, have to punch away. No, he actually went in with the last breath to try and deny any further engages. A sacrifice well made.
Sacrifice from Rascal? I don't know if I'd call that a sacrifice. He got picked. Let's call it what it was. Excuse me there. He was really far up, and unfortunately, the moment Axum whipped that ultimate, you just got to start playing a little bit cautiously. You're on the opponent's side of the map, and you don't have good vision in the jungle here. So you can't just assume that the Bisons are not in position. You had no vision of them whatsoever. Now, Dragon coming up in 40 seconds. Rascal will be up to contest this, but Unstoppable Force still not up.
Yeah, and Thalos, with the attack speed slowed from the slam down on the ground, Axum is going to have to walk his way out. And remember, because of the fact that TAB went for the Baron instead of the Dragon, Manitoba Bisons are actually on point to get Soul. That is their win objective. That is their prize at the end of the tunnel for toughing out this early game. Unstoppable Force is up, though, and Kept is playing an excessively forward game right now.
And Kept can do that because you've got the backup. Xingqius doesn't need to be the one in front. You've got the Zhonyas as well, and as long as you can buy time for the rest of the team to engage, you're good. Bisons, they're in position for this Dragon as it spawns. They've already started it up.
Oh, but that's going to be on the side. He's going to go in. Does he get it? No! That's going to be soul taken, but remember, the fight is all that matters. They're going to get so much damage down. Zev is already dead. Follow-up with only a one-man petrifying gaze. Rascal is out. Fall through damage from Axum is going to net another. And the whirlwind Rascal with the snipe means MNB, the Bisons are being cold as Team Ambition Black are going to sweep this fight for 0. They lose the dragon. They lose soul, but it doesn't matter. They can break the base.
And what does Cloud Soul give you? It gives you movement speed. Cloud Dragons give you increased ultimates, cooldown. None of it matters if none of it's landing. All the ults come through, but it's not killing them. And now they're looking to end 13 seconds on Zev here. Another 13 on Tomato Tom, and that's the inhibitor already taken down.
So fast. Singchus has done it before. He's been able to stall, but he can barely stand still. Remember, he doesn't have Unbreakable Will, and they're going to chase. Zev is up, but it's only one person. All right, Tomato Tom is looking for it, but they know they have to end it right here, right now. It's going to be a race. That's going to be Nexus Tower. Almost going down. Petrifying Gaze pushes them off, and they're going to run. They're low. They have to keep running away. That's going to be a W, and the current call being used. Body block by All for One. Castle is going to body block 3, and he goes down. He jumps out of the way. You sacrifice decision. You know what? Whatever. That's okay. We'll take that. We'll take that. He's 157. He can take another death. Anyway, they keep running off, but they have to get back in time because Baron is in the eyes of the Bison.
And I actually think sacking All for One was the right call there. He's the only one with a teleport that's up and available. If Team Ambition Black can stall out, All for One can come in, but they're not. They've all backed off here, and Rascal is actually looking for a backdoor.
He's looking for it, and Castle is looking to run interference. Remember, he lost one, but he's going to go for the second. Is he going to get the fight? Yes, he does! He gets it! Team Ambition Black are looking like they're going to clean this one up. Axum stalling him out. The teleport in the base. The base is all that's there, but the Petrifying Gaze finds Rascal once again. He is trying to duel out too. He has to win this fight. Doesn't get a knockup because of the golden pose by Kept. That should get the kill. The shutdown is made. All for One chasing as hard as he can, but Tethalis is going to have that GA. In comes a little bit of a slow Turk there to help solo it out. That's going to be the Crescent Guard not doing too much as All for One will take the kill. Explosive routes all around. A base almost ended, but Bisons lose the Baron and save their Game 1 dreams.
Oh, bro, how is the game not over? And this is the first game of the playoffs here in the Unified Advanced League. We're getting this level of action. Neither of these teams are giving up. Manitoba Bisons has been constantly showing their better team fighting, but Team Ambition, better decision making, better stealaways. Castle taking Baron, Rascal going for the back door. All of that allows All for One, Axum, and Turk to clean up the fights as well, to continue keeping Team Ambition Black in a very, very solid position.
Granted, Castle lost the Elder, or not the Elder, the Soul, right? Went in for the steal, couldn't make it happen. So it's almost redemption time for Castle, almost redemption for him. He is 4-3-14 right now. I want to say the star of his team, really keeping things alive, and we're gonna have to keep watching, right? They got, I want to say they got, so I don't think they have a single Baron left for anyone on their team. One. Castle. Okay, so Castle has one. I think maybe Turk has one.
Yeah, I think so.
Other than that, those aren't the right ones that you really want if you're going to try and split or anything like that, right? It's a little bit more difficult. So it's only 2 members. They're going to have to 5-minute. It looks like they've chosen top lane as their window in.
Yeah, and they can pick any lane they want at this point here. You've got the minions. Rascal?
Oh, Rascal went a little too far ahead, and that's a great sweep. It keeps them all out, and they got the GA. Can they follow up? Castle is going to try and punt. Tethalis right back into the team, but remember, look how split the fight is, and whenever it's split, it benefits the Bisons. They're going to stampede over this fight. Another GA popped, all that gold to naught, as that will be Castle being broken down. The siege has worked, and the Lee Sin is dead. They only lose a tower, so Bisons have a little bit more time to try and get a little bit of pressure for themselves.
Rascal gives and Rascal takes away. Last breath not even used in the fight because Rascal got hit so early with all that CC. Axum's back got cancelled here. But Tethalis, I don't think this is a fight you want. Look how tanky that rock is.
It's Malphite. Why are you trying to fight that? There's no reason to, of course, but when you have 2 Lord Dom's regards on Tomato and Zev, you're going to try and take it as best you can, right? Because Axum has been pivotal after about the mid game, you know, he got shut down top, but he didn't give as many kills as we expected. So he's been able to farm up. He's sitting at 3.5 items, looking like he's going to complete his Thorn Mails. He is the whole reason that Rascal is still so scary. That Rascal is now 7, 4, and 10, or at least that's what it feels like. But with the GAs down, TAB are looking a bit more vulnerable, as this Elder will spawn in 40 seconds.
Oh no, I feel like we've been here before where we say that, you know what, the dragons don't matter, you know, it's all about the fight. And it wasn't the dragon pit last time, we're right back to that. This one does matter though. This is Elder, and winner takes all. Axum is just walking up, fearless there, and they barely pop his shield. He's able to just walk into your tank and win that trade here, giving Team Ambition the inside track.
And keep in mind where the waves are, right? Top lane being pressed in favor of TAB right now. Mid lane will be pushing back shortly for them, and then bottom lane, TAB is in control here, so the waves not stacked in Manitoba Bison's favor. They have to make a shot call here, and the scary part is if a single two-man ultimate from Axum finds any of the two members of Manitoba Bisons, I feel like it's going to be over. Here they go. They do jump in a little bit. Thalos is able to draw the Solar Flare and the Crescent Guard, so that's a lot of damage. Full quadruple knockup, but the Petrifying Gaze is able to slow down Axum. But that's all the ultimates. That's every single ultimate except for the Unbreakable Will and the collateral damage down. And TAB are barely scratched. They're so tanky. It looks like they're going to get Elder here.
Yeah, Axum still threatening on the side, but he's taking a lot of damage.
Oh, Axum is so low, and Zev is going to find one, but the trade back means the ADC is dead. But the cleanup is there. That's going to be Tomato Tom getting some revenge. Scatter Weak keeps 2 away. Stink Juice is going to keep 3 away, and that's going to be the fight of the two front lines. It's going to be a 2-for-1 battle in favor of the Bisons, but the Elder Dragon is still being battled over. Thalos is going to have to stay in. 6K, dropping down quickly, and a TP in. Tomato Tom is going to look, but kept, I think, as well. That's a double teleport, and it looks like TAB are routed. Yes, Alistar goes down, but an over-the-wall Petrifying Gaze. The flash to get 3. They are going to get melted where they stand. The Cassiopeia getting a bit of revenge, seeking her teeth into a 7th kill. Dragon is quite low. 3K. Castle has to make a heartbreaking attempt. He's going to try and jump in. He's going to try and smite it. Is he going to get it? Who gets the kill? No! Gets killed before he can make it happen. Shut down, and Dragon secured by Kept.
The Bisons from the precipice of disaster have fought their way back in once again. Better team fights. And recall how that started. Manitoba Bisons blew every single ultimate, did not get a kill, but they don't need their ultimates. Kept does so much damage to Axum. Spirit Visage or not, or pardon me, Force of Nature or not, they just cut right through that tank. And the second ultimate that came through, that was how long the fight ran, that with all those Cloud Drakes, with all those Cloud Souls, Bison's got a second rotation of ultimates, and that gets them Elder and now potentially Baron as well.
The game is never ending, RMC. You picked the match tonight. You said you want to see these two teams battle it out for a chance to move on in the playoffs, and my gosh, did you pick one for the ages. Elder and Baron now in the hands of the Manitoba Bisons and Team Ambition Black. It's scary to say this, but I still feel like their composition, if played right, if they get that 1 in 1,000 chance, that's what it feels like right now, they could still turn it. They have 8 towers to 4. They have most of the base broken. They still have a very large chance of winning.
Never tell them the odds here, Orbital. I regret nothing in picking this series, and it's not really a 1 in 1,000 chance necessarily. It just comes down to, can you get the setup for Rascal? And I want to point out Rascal in that last fight played it very well initially, you know, did not get caught up by anything, and this Yasuo is scaling up. Infinity Edge, Bloodthirster completed as well. It's all about killing Kept and Zev. Tomato Tom is not the issue. He's 3-8 and 16. Yes, he's got an IE, but if you can kill Kept first, if you can kill Zev first, you can clean up the house. And I want to see Axum go for that flank position, because I do think it comes down to him. Turret being able to set up is nice, but it's all about that knockup.
Most important thing to keep in mind, GAs have been, I want to say, resurrected, or they are now on 2 primary members. Castle and Rascal are the 2 that have picked up that item. They're the ones that probably have a good feeling that they can go in without much consequence. Now it's going to be a dive in. They're going to try and chance it. Turk is able to get away. Crescent Guard is used quite early, not blocking a whole lot of damage. A nice knockup onto Rascal, but that's going to be the inhibitor down. Curtain Call is used, but the Wind Ball is going to block most of that damage. Again, Curtain Call doesn't do as much to full health targets. So it will just be the inhibitor taken as Manitoba Bisons wisely back off.
Good force from Bisons there. They ran out the clock pretty much. They only had that much time on the Elder left. Now the next fight won't have Elder here. They catch!
Oh, they got a huge catch. Kept is almost dead. Goes into the golden move, but instantly dead. One more thing to get. Axum doesn't land it, but again, it might not matter. In comes the rest of the squad. That's going to be Juice. Sync actually taken out, but that's a trade. 1-for-1. 2v1, and that's going to be a chase. Look at Zethalos in the backline, though. The Xin Zhao is keeping everyone alive, and Castle is going to go down. 3 ADs, 3 carries, 3 winners. Manitoba Bisons with a triple kill on Zev. He has only died twice, and he wants a few more kills. He is hunting for his 10th. One more shot secures it. A quadra kill for Zev here in game 1 of their playoff match. Manitoba Bisons win out at 39.5 minutes. They will go ahead and open up. Curtain Call, shot 1, shot 2, miss, shot 3, 4, might slow it, and he gets it! Pentakill for Zev. He is going to kick off this series with a pentakill, with 11, and with a win for the Bisons.
Yes, Orbital! Okay, what did we not get? Let's run through the checklist. We got Elder, we got Baron, we got backdoors, we got massive team fights, and we end with a pentakill to end the game, Orbital! What more can we want? What a banger of a series. And this is only game 1. I want to see more of this. And I do think ultimately it did unfortunately come down to draft. As exciting as the match was, it's the fact that Team Ambition Black didn't have a secondary sustained damage source. The Syndra worked great in lane. Don't get me wrong here. All for One looked great on it, aside from getting caught out in the mid game. But you don't have sustained damage. And when it comes down to a Jhin and a Graves versus a Syndra, now that Yasuo is dead, the sustained AD carries are going to win that fight every single time.
Yeah, I can't stress it enough that at the end of the day, it came down to the Xin Zhao, the Graves, and the Jhin.
Mm-hmm.
It just highlights your point that much more. You know, the one that got caught out was kept. It was that Cassiopeia. Sync, of course, sacrificed his life like he has done time and time again this game. But once again, it was the AD Shredders that immediately ripped through the team. And so game 2, we're hoping for even more action. I don't know if we can top that, but they will most certainly try, as Bisons will look for a 2-0 sweep over Team Ambition Black. Please don't go anywhere.
I noticed I drink a lot of sodas when I'm gaming. Might as well drink something that's good for me. Head over to drinkolipop.com and order your favorite flavor.
Welcome back after I have no words. It's quite literally everything in League of Legends that could have happened did happen. We got a steal, we got Barons, we got craziness. I was even worried that with an Elder and Baron that the Manitoba Bisons would not be able to end, yet they did. It was a crazy, phenomenal game, and I couldn't ask for more, but it started with that draft. Some amazing picks and some that we had a few questions about.
Fair enough, Orbital. And right now, I just can't wipe this grin off my face because unless they somehow horrifically screw up the draft here, it should be a good series. And we talked about the draft. We talk about the fact that, okay, you know, the Syndra really struggled towards the end game, pumping out the damage. I actually think you can leave that Syndra in there. I didn't hate what we saw from All For One. I thought the lane went well. If anything, I think you take Axum off a tank and you put him on a carry. We said Axum's a carry, and sure enough, last game, he ended up with the most kills on the side of Team Ambition Black. 868. He had the most kills with 8 kills. Rascal, second highest, only got 7.
And that was with a Malphite. Let's point it out. However, Axum will not have that chance again. That is a little bit of a rough time that we did talk about, as BMD is coming in. So Team Ambition Black have actually stated, or at least with their picks, that BMD is going to have to play, and for that, they also lose 2 bans. TAB will play without their second half set of bans.
Okay, and that's interesting. BMD, also known as Brown Man Darius, to give him his full name here, was actually listed as on part of their starting roster. And the reason why I have to give him his full name is because he is a Darius one-trick, or not exactly one-trick. He plays other things, but he's known as the #1 Darius on the server. So when you're playing up against him, you kind of got to ban the Darius, or else you're really risking your top lane here. I don't know if there's any pick you really wanted to run into a one-trick Darius.
That's the scariest part, right? Like, that is your bread and butter before was actually banning out. I want to say it was the support and mid is kind of where a lot of those went to. It was the yeet into a little bit of flex into the bot lane, and it was its own thing. However, now you have to worry about this flex Darius. What are you going to leave open? What is optimal here? And of course, TAB, because they still have most of their lineup, they're like, cool, we'll keep it the same. We'll still target that mid lane. So immediately the lock into Darius. All right, we didn't even have to question. Yeah, screw it, get it off. We're not dealing with that.
Yeah, I mean, you can literally look this guy up on Leaguepedia. He played in Scouting Grounds. He has a page on Leaguepedia, and it's going to show Darius. So makes sense that you ban it here. For the side of TAB, we did get information that Team Ambition is losing 2 bans, not because he wasn't listed, but because Brahman Darius did not actually complete enough games during this week. So that is why they're going to be losing 2 bans. And that might change things up here. Back in game 1, the 2 bans that they banned later on for Team Ambition was Nautilus and Vladimir. And the Vladimir ban is important because Kept is known as a very strong Vladimir player. That is the most banned champion against the Manitoba Bisons here. So I'm curious to see if Team Ambition end up banning that for their 3rd ban here in phase 1, or whether they still go with that Tryndamere.
I mean, they could, and at the same time, they might feel like they have an answer to it, right? That's the whole thing. Do you feel like you have an answer to some of these crazier picks? And there's Bison still looking at Turk saying, hey, we don't want to let that Thresh. It's still focused on keeping that bot lane down. For the record, the Leono still looks really, really good, so I really, really liked it. Yeah. However, Vladimir is open. Tryndamere has been banned. TAB say game 1 was close enough. Let's keep the bans the same.
Yeah, and for Manitoba Bisons now, that's weight off their mind, right? They don't have to worry about a Vladimir ban coming later in. The only way they don't get it is if Team Ambition pick it themselves. So they don't have to pick it in this first rotation here. They can continue going with what they wanted to. And because they won game one, because they are on the same sides, I don't see a need for them to change anything. Yes, Tom suffered on the Graves. He struggled with the Graves, but it's still a very safe flex pick.
And it looked great, right? I don't think we're gonna see another Malphite come out here. As much as I love their comp, I love the Wombo combo. It didn't feel like it landed just right. What did look great was Castle, right? Throughout the entirety of the series, Castle was looking phenomenal. Great picks, great engages, great tools of keeping his team in those fights alongside of Axum and the rest. But it is going to be a Morgana hover, which is a drastic change up. Remember, last time, TAB ran a very we go in composition.
Yeah, and if anything, the Morg would also surprise me just because it's not something I associate with Turk. He is the primary engage for the team. So the Rakan to me feels a lot more comfortable. Seraphine locked in here, and I'm curious if this is going to go to the support role or whether we see Seraphine in the mid lane. I think I've seen more Seraphine mid here. Either way, though, generally you pick Seraphine when you know the enemy team wants to engage into you. She is the queen of disengage currently, better even than that Janna with that charm, with the ability to propagate that out all the way across here. And Manitoba Bisons, that's the exact same first three picks that they went with in game one here. And it does mean that the Graves is going to be in a solo lane.
What scares me, right? This is the only time I'll talk about it because I tend to harp on it a little bit much, is the fact that Seraphine's in the game, right? We saw what these three specific champions could do on Manitoba Bison's side. We saw that they could carry, so TAB had to be able to swap it up. They're going to go ahead and hover over that Camille. They weren't able to pick it up last time. It's not Axum that's going to be playing it. And it's also not Axum that's going to be taking a potential Draven to the top side, but it will be locking in that Camille for his team.
I will say this much. I think Brown Mandarius and Axum are both carry players in the top lane. The Camille would have worked just as well for Axum. It is his most played champion, but it's also going to work just as well for Brown Mandarius here. He also plays a lot of Camille in that top lane, and both of them will give Graves quite a rough time in lane. I'm curious to see if Manitoba Bisons decide to flex that Graves potentially into the mid lane instead, maybe to try and hide it and then pick up a better pick, like maybe the Jax as a counter to Camille. We'll have to see. But for now, again, no bans for Team Ambition in the second phase. So Manitoba Bisons, Galio, Leona, they continue pinching that support pool.
Speed running banning phase right now. That reminds me of a time, I forgot what game it was, but we were casting at RMC, and I think we only had a single ban or something like that. I don't know what it was. It was like 9 bans out, and it was just, all right, well, draft is over. That's all there is. We are going to get the lock into the Rakan, so as you were stating, it feels like that Seraphine is going to go mid lane for Rascal.
Or into the AP carry position. Because recall here that All For One does like playing those AP carries, did play the Syndra last game, could very well be a Seraphine down there as well, has done so twice in this season so far. I'm not a huge fan of Seraphine, especially if you're trying to deal with that Jhin in that bot lane. Jhin has a lot of kill threat onto it, but into a Silas is almost... I almost prefer it into the Silas here, but Team Ambition, they get their pick. Do they try and counter this Jhin with, hey, Draven's not a terrible idea, or are they going to counter mid Lovers Duo? That's another really solid one, and at this time, the Bisons have tipped enough their hand that it is going to be a fairly engaging composition. The Seraphine's going to be great. Okay, it's Seraphine bot, Yone mid. That is yet another pick for Rascal here. You don't have to set up for the Yasuo, you go to Yone instead. You do your own work.
Everything is just a surprise for us. It feels like I love it. You pull out one toxic champion, you pull out another, looking to try and just make me very upset at Rascal. Again, I'm a mid lane player. I'm also a mage player, which is probably going to get me a lot of flack there as well. I hate Yone and Yasuo to death, but Rascal showed a lot of amazing plays on the Yasuo, so I'm very excited for this Yone.
Yeah, and Yone operates, again, like I said, fairly similarly to that Yasuo. You can get some really good team fights off of that Fate Sealed, your ultimate just coming across. The difference is you don't get any setup from the rest of your team. Everything has to be done for yourself here. And I like what Team Ambition have done, considering what happened in game one. It was very, very close game one, right? It could have really swung either way, but they lacked a little bit of damage. Game two, they just swing right to the other side where they overload on damage from multiple lanes. You've got carries in every single lane right now. You've got magic damage coming from that bot side as well. And this time, I think the Seraphine is safer than that Syndra here, using there's so much more disengaged, there's so much more CC as well, sustained to come through. So I do like what we're seeing coming out from Team Ambition Black here.
Most notably that I want to touch on is that bot lane changeup, right? The Rakan is one that I've actually personally favored a lot of the time. It provides the engage with the safety as well as the best of both worlds. There's a reason we've seen it taken against some of the top lanes in the world's stage as well. With the Lovers Duo, it's one we also haven't seen too much lately. Xayah has fallen a little bit out of meta in favor of like the likes of Misfortune, and some other ADCs. So with this specific setup, with the champions that have been selected, especially on Manitoba's side and how well they played, almost this exact composition before, how do you feel about it? How do you feel this bottom lane is going to match up?
Rakan's a tricky one because Rakan plays engaged, but he's very, very squishy. And so it relies on him kind of dancing in and out of the fight, very heavy on the reflexes there. Turk has shown that his reflexes are pretty good. I mean, on Leona, it's a little bit easier because there's a lot more point and click, but he was landing Zenith Blades. His Eclipses were on point. His Solar Flares were on point as well. But into an Alistar, it's a little risky. All Alistar has to do is press Q, and suddenly Rakan gets a little bit messed up on the engage there. That said, a lot of support players do favor the Rakan into Alistar. You've got more agency. My issue is more with what the carries are in the spot lane. Jhin versus Seraphine. Seraphine's going to enable the Rakan. So I feel like Turk's really got to carry this bot lane in terms of using that Rakan with the poke, with the engages. Whereas Zev, we've seen his Jhin. Those 4 shots hurt. And if ever they get low from the poke, Zev is going to have a field day just cleaning up a lot of those engages.
Yeah, you may have noticed I actually forgot that it's not the Lovers Duo and it was Seraphine. This is how my little brain likes to work. This is why I'm a play-by-play. We forget things very, very quickly. It's great. But I agree, right? That Jhin is one that we saw. Remember Zev? It took a while for Zev, but Zev at one point was 4-0-7. He's the one that got the pentakill at the very end. It was 11 kills for him with only 2 deaths. So I feel like the only reason it wasn't higher was because it was tankier in the bottom lane. It was these tankier champions to get through. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how it plays out. Most notably, All For One is running that teleport, triple teleport for Team Ambition Black. On the flip side, double teleports with Zev on that heal, no cleanse to get out of the Encore.
Yeah, and seeing All For One run the teleport, that I think is pretty normal when he's running the mages. Rascal running the teleport surprises me a little bit more, and that tells me that they're not just looking for the lane control here from the Yone, not like last game. They're looking to try and be able to match Sylas as well later on in the game's top side. Braum Banderas, it's not that big a surprise, but it's worth noting, isn't running Flash Ignite. It is that Teleport Ignite instead for that lane control. So he's going to be a little bit more vulnerable to ganks. And Taythalis' early game last game was a sight to behold. The Xin Zhao ganks had such high efficiency, almost always either burning a flash or getting a kill.
It was scary. That's all I can say. It's fun and terrifying to see a Graze in the top side be able to take over and maybe bully the bully, right? And that is something that a Camille is well known for. It's well known for being a bully lane, well known for being annoying to a very extensive degree. And so that's why we can see Tomato Tom trying to press up. That's also why you see the sweep from Braum Banderas, keeping that shield up, keeping that slow, and losing? Okay, so they actually go in. The Ignite goes down. Tomato Tom might have bitten off a bit more than he could chew. He does have Flash. And again, with no actual hook, it's going to be a bit more difficult. Walks in to stave off the slow. So Tomato Tom is allowed to live without burning Flash.
Okay, and that top trade was actually super important because I don't think Darius was necessarily looking for the kill right off the bat. If he could get it, great. It's more that you're pushing Tomato Tom off. He has to burn all his pots. He's going to be low on health. And you know Castle's on his way. Both junglers actually looking for this volatile top lane. So whichever top laner has the advantage there makes it so much easier for that follow-up gank.
Ooh, you know who eats a little bit of damage from a trade? It is going to be Turk as Zev. The Ignites do pop. They're going to try and run a bit more damage with the Ignites down, though. I think Zev is going to be a little bit happier. Tomato Tom is going to be on the receiving end of the game first. That should be an easy kill as Castle is gifted first blood.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was talking about, that setup coming through. And that's going to cost Tathalis as well, because now it's a 2v1 on this fight.
Yeah, and I don't know why you take it so early. This is actually very dangerous. Manitoba Bisons grant 2 kills over, 1 to Castle and 1 to BND.
I was just thinking too, you already lost control over Scuttle because there's going to be a numbers advantage. But as you said, you pull the trigger before the TP even comes down. Tomato Tom doesn't get to participate, doesn't get a help. If he did, their health bars will lower, and Team Ambition are off to a great start. Keep in mind as well that they don't have to worry about getting outskilled this game. They have really strong skilling.
Oh, and even mid, we're seeing
Sync?
Cap be happy, and that's going to be a kick.
Oh!
Flash out! Oh, the Sonic Wave was so good. Castle is not going to get routed, though, so they did dive a little bit deep. This is going to call the teleport, I believe, from Brown Mandarius to double flash over. Castle is able to get back to the ward.
No!
And now it's all for one. What is this chaos? First game was so clean. It felt like the teams were on point. And now, first is Manitoba, now it's TAB. They all give kills right back to their respective opponents. And somehow, Team Ambition Black are able to come out in the lead.
Well, this is why you can't count out Manitoba Bisons here, because they just somehow seem to find ways to stay in the game. That's it. Kept is taking a huge beating here. I don't think he does.
Yeah,
Turk? Never mind.
Well,
There's
we're
Turk.
calling for the save, right?
Yeah, that is truly a kill secure. That is the one time your mid laner doesn't scream at your support. Hey, that's a KS. Yeah, no, that wasn't kill steal. That was a kill secured. And it was very necessary. I don't think Roscoe had enough damage to finish that off. Turk had to go in here. And looking at the bot lane, All for One is not getting punished whatsoever for this particular roam here. Zev and St. Juice instead of looking for that cheater recall. And I don't know if that cheater recall for early Swifties is necessarily worth it here. Or never mind, it's not Swifties. They go for the more standard Noon Quiver.
I kind of want to give the benefit of the doubt to Zed, though, right? Jhin is one of the few ADCs that will not be able to punish as much as like a regular ADC champion would, right? Someone that can pump out autos very, very quickly, something like a Caitlyn or even a Sivir, right? It's a little bit more difficult with a forced shot, so you just have to back up and allow your Alistar to roam. And this is the downside to not having flash. It's very simple. If you get the knockouts, if you're the first one to take that fight. And they cancel the fight because they're trying to give it to Tomato right now. And it's a little bit scary. Yeah, you got to be a little bit worried as one more shot will take it. Tomato Tom will get the kill. Tathalis eats an Ignite while Dragon takes down for TAB.
Okay, that took like an extra 7 seconds there. And the problem is not just one person 7 seconds. It took 3 people 7 seconds. It's 21 seconds. And in that amount of time, Team Ambition Black are just like, okay, you take your time up there. We'll take Dragon instead here. And not only do they take Dragon, they're going to invade your jungle, take priority here. And there's the threat onto Kep. There's the threat onto Zev here. Both of them have to play more passive.
It was so weird. Like, I was casting it, and then it was just like, I look back, and I'm like, that was really weird to watch, just trying to walk the kill home. But again, TAB, they were on top of the global objectives in the early game. We do have to remember that they are a team that was able to pick up the first Dragon and the first Rift Herald. It was after that second objective that it started to fall apart. So far, on the right path to building up a lead of their own.
Yeah, and if we think back to the last game, 6 minutes, we had 2 kills. This game, we're already at 7 at the 7-minute mark here. So, Orbro, you should be having plenty of fun, and it doesn't look like that's going to stop anytime soon. The supports are still roaming around, actively looking to make plays. Turk, I think, has spent more time out of lane than actually in lane.
I don't think Turk knows what a lane is, right? Like, at this point, it's just like, this is somewhat of an area for me to be with my ADC. Yes, this is the right spot for me to be. It feels weird, but I'll do it. Does have a few charges as well on the Targons, I think. So is wanting to proc those and try and stack that up as quickly as possible. But again, bot lane, level 5 for both the Seraphine and the Jhin. Level 5 for Sync, though, so that's more important. Remember, Unbreakable Will is huge for an Alistar to be allowed to kind of face take any of these fights. Once again, though, Tomato Tom and Tathalis are going to take a chance on the top side.
Castle.
But with Castle roaming up, this is going to be a huge chunk. Tathalis is only level 5, and that's going to be a kick in. Castle wants to win it, and that is a level 6. That is a win. Tomato Tom goes, what the heck is happening? Rascal's here as well. Dodges out on the Sonic Wave. Maybe he can clear Wave.
Out of minions.
Yeah, he's looking like it. And oh, they're going to have to chase out. Meanwhile, we're going to look at the bot side a little bit as Tomato Tom is going to eat another Sonic Wave. 3 members top this time for only 1 kill. It feels like a lot less time was utilized, so I think they'll take that as a win. Headbutt Pulverize, though, being used. Encore lands, though, and they're going to chance it back. This is a huge kill onto Zev. The CC combination nets true as Turk is looking like a carry with the 2 kills in his pocket. Sync trying to dodge out again. A little bit of a root could cause some problems, but it's only going to be 1. TAB run the show in top and in bot.
Orbital, we got it all wrong. It's not, Turk is not the support. All for 1 is Fate Seal.
That was a stolen Fate Seal.
Here we go.
He brings it right back. Rascal is able to pull a fancy knockup combination. And Castle's here. Kept has to flash out. Follow with a kick in the Sonic Wave. Tathalis is going to flash into the Crescent Guard. And it feels like overextension to be repeated as TAB come out on top. 7 kills to 3 overall, and they look like they're ready to break down a couple plates here in mid.
Castle is still on the flank here. He's still threatening this, and Orbital, we can say it's an overextension because we have full vision. But if we look at it from the player's perspective there, Rascal had vision, knew where his team was, and knew that he could get back up. The initial gank was good from Bison's, but when you had to chase almost to that turret point, you just had to disengage after that. There's no point sieging after that. You had no more vision on Turk. You have to keep in mind, Turk's been roaming non-stop between mid and bot, and you didn't know where Castle was. So Bison's unfortunately got the tables turned on them, and they're falling further and further behind. That's it. Tathalis being able to pick up this Herald here goes a long way towards alleviating some of that deficit.
Tomato Tom very upset that this Camille has gotten a little bit of a lead here. It's not even a lead, right? Like, there is not a lead. It's just Camille doing Camille things, and Kept this time looking like he wants to help. Again, up goes that Hextech Ultimatum as they are able to survive. Now Turk is able to help, and once again Turk takes a kill. 3-0 and Castle with 5. It's these two show. It's the Castle and Turk duo as they go ahead and clean up another. Turk is allowed to pick up his 4th. Team Ambition Black go, hey, game 1 was a little bit of a fever dream. Let's get back to reality here.
This game feels like the fever dream to me, Orbital. The way Castle is playing right now, it's a nightmare for the Bisons here now. Rascal might be a little overextended here.
Might be, but Kept is also there for a little bit of a rebuttal. They are going to dodge to the side as Rascal is going to try and duel this out. He is getting a lot of damage down. Misses the chains there as Sync comes in. Brownman Darius is able to fly in, not with teleport, but just walking into lane. And I think Sing Juice is going to be on the receiving end of a death. No slow to be made, so it is just going to be gifted over potentially to a carry who is going to pick that up. Brownman Darius is gifted a second as he TP's top to catch the wave.
I don't know if you saw where Zev was on that recall. Zev was deep in Team Ambition jungle. That is how out of position they were. And I did not think Rascal could turn that. But once again, he's surviving. He hasn't even completed his first mythic yet. Tathalis looking top, has Herald as well.
They're going to chance it again. They've done this 3 or 4 times now. And
TP.
in comes the TP. Tathalis, he is constantly being left in a 1v2, and Rascal is strong enough. That's what I feel like. A nice Crescent Guard needs a kill. Tomato Tom is able to pick up with a little bit of a buckshot, but that is Rascal picking up 2. Teleport, very worth.
Yeah, able to find that there. And in fact, I don't even think Brownman Darius needed to die, but all for 1. Epic flash to get away here. We praise Zev and Tomato Tom in game 1, but all for 1 here in this game 2 has done an amazing job 1v2. We focus on everywhere else because of the action, but where there hasn't been action is the bot lane, and that is actually huge praise for all for 1, that they've not been able to punish this lone Seraphine for this entire game so far.
The worst feeling in the world as well is I don't think the 4th shot would have killed. Right? Zev is sitting with only a few components. Can't really do much, but that is going to be the root. Can the tower hit? No. Meanwhile, in the jungle, Kept is getting caught. That's a huge, the dance or the swiftness, I'm very sorry, as Turk is going to go gold, and Kept is going to try and get his way out. Brownman Darius is there, but a nice knockup isn't going to land. Kept is able to dash one more time into the river, but they're going to follow. That's going to be an easy kill. Kingslayer actually interrupted, as now all for one is punished, but it might be a little bit too little too late, as the rest of the team is here. They're going to try and finish off tower, as Sathalis goes, yep, going to drop that ramp tail. We're going to at least pick up one, as they are going to get cleaned up. Everyone on Team Ambition Black side is turning MNB into the previous. They are getting slaughtered where they stand. As what's going on? What are they doing? Okay, there's the sweep. Brownman Darius is allowed a 5th. TAB are firing on all cylinders this game.
Oh, how the tables turn. When they first tried to walk the kill for Tomato Tom, now they're walking it for Brownman Darius here. Yes, they get first turret, but is it worth it here? They gave up 3 kills. They get Rascal further fed right now, and Rascal might have overstepped.
Okay. Very, very close. Yep.
Nope, never mind. What
Castle.
am I saying?
It's Castle. Who really kills? Sathalis, you don't want to be in this sandwich. Rascal is ready to dance it out. That's going to be another kick, and the Crescent Guard. No! Oh, Castle's so angry. He was doing so well in game 1. He's like, screw it. We're going the distance. He is 7-0-3, unkillable, as his Sonic Waves now are almost night perfect.
I half expected Castle to go for the insect there. He has the flash available, but I actually think he doesn't think it's worth to do it on Zev right now. He's got a 700 gold bounty. If Castle goes down, somebody on Bison just won the lottery. And if it goes on to Zev because that dive goes wrong, then Team Ambition end up giving up a lot of the pressure. So I respect that they're playing it safe, for a given value of safe, because they're still looking for these kills.
I don't think they're ever going to stop, and honestly, the dive could be ridiculous. That's going to be a kick landing. But again, Sink Juice and Tathalis are both there to kind of cut them off, so for how far behind Manitoba Bisons are, they still have a composition. That's all they really have, but over the wall they go, and again, Tathalis is like, team, what is going on? He tries to flash out, is headbutted back, 3 in the pit. As they pick up 1. Now they're looking for a few more, as Seraphine is going to be routing behind, and they get the combination. They are going to pick up the kill. That is going to be his fate sealed, as the Encore goes wide. Kept can't pick it up. That's going to be a 3-man Encore, not doing too much as the kills are coming through. It looks like TAB have stayed a little bit too long in the enemy side. Rascal's looking to clean it up on the end. This fight is never ending, as Rascal 7 gets his 6th. And Kept can't find much more. TAB get away pretty much scot-free. They only lost one. It's their APC, who is 0-3-5. They'll call it worth.
And the entire time that's happening, BMD in this bot lane just split pushing, getting damaged, gets the first hurt of the game here for Team Ambition Black to answer back the Bisons here. We're staring down what is just shy of a 10,000 gold lead. It's going to hit 10 as soon as this goes down here. And Team Ambition are taking over. Baron is up. Dragon is, pardon me, not Baron. Herald's coming up, and okay, well, Kept died. Dragon's coming up in 20 seconds. Team Ambition, they're just set up to take everything.
What is this game? What is this game? Brownman Darius is popping off. Brownman, he just doesn't care. Darius is, he's not even Darius, and he's still chunking like crazy. Finally, a shutdown going back in Manitoba's way. But it's just, I mean, really, is that going to be enough? You're looking at the Smoking Barrel up close to a 10K lead at 16 and a half minutes.
Well, at least what it has done is stop Team Ambition from taking the Dragon here. Because you do have to teleport on Kept, you do have the numbers advantage. Kept actually TPing in there, looking to try and force this.
I mean, what more can they do, though? Tomato Tom is looking to help. Castle actually dashes back, and they're going to try and turn it because they have to check it out, right? What more can they do? Here comes Alistar. He's looking to try and help out, and it's going to be a split, and Kept is dead. That's it. Down goes the Seraphine and the Recon. So now the re-engage is going to come. Brownman Darius gets a huge chunk. Face Shield only lands on 1, but it's a very, very tanky Alistar. Their health bars are dropping lower and lower, though, in a huge chunk with a leg as Brownman Darius sweeps it in. Castle is now legendary as Rascal will find Zev, and just like that, Manitoba Bisons are cold once more. It's the extinction of the Bisons. Brownman Darius is going to get 1 more kill. That is an ace at 17 and a half minutes, and they crest the 10K. They're pushing for 10.5. Team Ambition Black looking like game 2 is already in their pockets.
What was that old meme? TSM Vengeance shall be swift. No. It's Team Ambition Vengeance shall be swift. Yeah, 20 kills up right now, and we're not even at 20 minutes. I accidentally called for Baron earlier because it doesn't feel like we're pre-20 minutes right now. Dragon being picked up, and once again, it is Cloud Soul. I don't care about the soul anymore. What I do care about is the map. The fact that they're being sped up to move faster is letting Team Ambition just keep forcing fights quicker and quicker on this map.
I can't believe we're taking a look at this, but Kep is nigh 6K down.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think I've seen a gold difference that large. Rascal is dominating this mid lane.
That is a team gold level difference. 6K is what we usually talk about for teams, but oh my goodness. You know what? I think we see a Yone ban next game coming through. I don't think you actually need to ban it. I think it's also because it was the counter pick that Rascal had after seeing the Sylas come out. And this is why I struggle with Sylas as a blind pick. I know you pick him when you see Alistar on the other side, but you picked the Alistar. What ult were you thinking of stealing?
Yeah. It's... I have to agree with you there, and we mentioned it, right? Game 1 was also a draft difference. This one, I kind of feel is the same, right? It's another draft difference, another difference of who is going to do what, and they're going to try and fight it. Here they go, Encore landing again only on the Alistar, but it might be enough, but they're just too squishy. Rascal says, sweep of the blades, and your fates are sealed without even the fates being called. That's going to be a curtain call being called, and Castle says, nah, you're not playing that game. Crescent Guard goes in. All for One is going to fall. Rascal is going to get knocked up, uses the knockup as his own as the auto attack makes him legendary. TAB looking like they are just toying with their food as Tomato Tom is graciously allowed to live under this second tier tower in top.
Okay, we don't quite get catch up yet, but if Tomato keeps sticking around right there, we might see that he get smeared up there. And I want to give props to Bisons a little bit because it looks as if, you know, they're just dying left and right. But if you watch the mechanics, they're actually getting good damage down. They're actually still threatening. The problem is that they are down so much gold that Team Ambition, even if they make mistakes, just the sheer amount of damage, the sheer amount of stats advantage they have is carrying a lot of these fights. And for Bisons, I hate to call it at 20 minutes, but I do think this is one of those situations where Bisons have to mentally just kind of go, okay, guys, we need to think about game 3 here. What really didn't work here in game 2, and what can we do to make sure we don't end up in this position again?
I mean, if you're taking a look at anything, it has to be that Sylas, right? I hate pointing it out. I don't think Kep played it terribly. It's just, it didn't work. And now we're watching kind of that back end side as Brown Man Darius is immediately chunking people even more. This is going to be such a dangerous situation as Brown Man Darius goes in, dives under tower, Hextech ultimatum being used. Fate Sealed used on so many, and the Wombo this time is connecting. They only need one, and that's going to be enough. A nice double Q coming out from All For One is going to seal their fates as the entirety of Team Ambition Black are going to run down the Bisons. They clean them up so easily, 38-10. Such a drastic difference from game number 1 as Team Ambition Black will take the Nexus Towers. They will take the Nexus and push us to a very, very quick game number 3.
Orbital, I didn't want to agree with taking Axum out after game 1. And I don't think that Brown Man Darius necessarily carried the game. I think that's more on Castle. But if this is the mental shift that happened when they switched to top laner, it's worth, because they came in fast and furious this game. And to me, yes, Rascal, I don't know what you call it. Well, 100 CS gap is called a Flame Horizon. I don't know what you call that many kills as a gap, that much gold as a gap. I mean, Rascal doubled kept gold values. Rascal's an absolute monster, but I'm still pinning this down to Castle. I think Castle was an absolute beast this game. And this is why I remember his Lee Sin, because it can make so many of these plays. It can carry the early game. We said that Gore Drinker now is a tanky item. They removed the fact that the lower health you have, the more damage Gore Drinker does. It didn't stop Castle from carrying and doing the damage, diving behind those turrets. No one was safe.
I don't think anyone's going to be safe even for game number 3. And while it takes a little bit of time to process what the heck just happened, we'll go ahead, go to a very short break, come back with a bit more information and potentially a bit more thrilling or even crazier game 3 between the Manitoba Bisons and Team Ambition Black. Don't go anywhere.
I noticed I drink a lot of sodas when I'm gaming. Might as well drink something that's good for me. Head over to drinkolipop.com and order your favorite flavor. noticed I drink a lot of sodas when I'm gaming. Might as well drink something that's good for me. Head over to drinkolipop.com and order your favorite flavor.
And welcome back. After game one, we expected craziness. We expected a hot series. We expected a phenomenal game two, 50-minute barn burner, whatever. Instead, we got TAB with a fire under their butts. The swap in of a new player. Someone took a whip to them in the back, said, hey, get it in shape. We are maybe a for fun team, but, you know, regular season doesn't matter. Playoffs do matter. And they came out with an absolute smashing performance.
Yeah, Castle was part of that Mad City roster, which did have that mindset of playoffs only, and he is definitely a playoff player here. Orbital, I said after game one, I didn't think anything could wipe that grin off my face. Well, game two certainly did, because that was incredibly one-sided. And once again, I feel the need to reiterate this because of how bad game two looked for them, but the Bisons were not bad by any means. The problem is that they were trying to fight them, and they were losing each fight by tiny amounts. But as that grew, it suddenly became a 10,000 gold lead. And at that point, you can't keep fighting. The Manitoba Bisons need to start learning how to play from behind a little bit. You can't just always be charging in, because in this case, in game two, they charged themselves right off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, it's something that's always difficult to kind of point out, I always feel, right? Because a good game by one team will make another team look bad in comparison. And to break down the fact that it's not someone's mistakes that are making them look bad, it's the other team just looking too dang good.
Yeah.
It's sometimes very difficult to see, and I think we just saw a huge exception of that, right? That was game one looking like a fiesta, game two, TAB looking like surgeons, plucking away at every piece of MNB. And because of that, Manitoba Bisons will get side selection. They have selected the red side this time, and that might give them a little bit of an edge. Remember, a huge issue I think we saw was the blind pick Silas. Now that you're on red side, you had the counter pick option.
Exactly. And I don't think... Okay, and I was going to say I don't think we see blind Yone. It's Roscoe. We might see blind Yone, but at least you can punish it this time, right? Last time he seized the matchup, and Yone into Silas is a winning matchup for Yone. It's not comfortable for Silas. I didn't expect it to go quite that badly, but, you know, at least this time you know what you're walking into here if you still do want to pick that Silas. And I think it's worth noting as well that Team Ambition lost 2 bans last game. They were down 2 bans and still smashed. Coming into game 3, they're still missing those 2 bans, and I'm a lot more comfortable with it because it's really down to Manitoba Bisons to find some sort of response.
Yeah, and with the back and forth that they are going to have, we'll really have to keep track. And I like this, right? Manitoba Bisons from before didn't swap any of their bans out except for the Darius, right? Which is granted, you're up against BMD, that has to be said.
Yeah.
However, like you said, Turk is not I want to say an enchanter support player. Ban the Lee Sin. Castle had 2 phenomenal games. Get it out of the game.
Yep, and they did.
Yeah.
They definitely did. The problem with that is that it's not like Castle's bad on other picks. Castle's Shinzao is also very, very scary. Granted, it certainly doesn't have the same level of impact as the Lee Sin. The way he was breaking ankles in game 2 was brutal to watch. I mean, we saw Kep whiff on encores, not because Kep couldn't aim, but just because Lee Sin's so mobile that by the time the encore is about to hit, he's already somewhere else. And it looks like Manitoba Bisons here, they've switched up the game plan. Game 1, game 2, we target the support. We target Turk here. And I use the word target very because they were banning Yumi, Thresh, not things I know Turk for. This time they focus the jungle, and I think this is a much more viable game plan.
Castle has been one of the stars. It's been rock solid the entire time, just like you want a Castle to be. Solid foundation under that, under that fortification. Don't shake your head at me. I see you. I quite literally see you shake your head. Come on.
Game 1 had rock solid on Axum, and I was not happy with the rock solid. Okay, Thresh coming out here.
The rock solid was good. I stand by that. I'm done here. I will see you later.
Well, since is booking now, we do see the Seraphine first pick for Team Ambition here, or they're hovering it. They haven't locked it in yet. To me, that'd be a little bit surprising as a first pick, but you can't argue with the results it had. Let's remember that All For One held that 1v2 lane for the longest time there and was barely down CS. Seraphine is already a fairly low econ bot laner because oftentimes she can decide to go items like that. Moonstone Renewer, pardon me. Haven't seen that item for so long. Or, even the Andries as well. And then that's all you really need. But despite having that option, All For One wasn't really down gold.
Yeah, it was even, and I like this call, right? So again, I touched on it a little bit before, but a Jhin is one of the few ADCs that can't really punish a very slow-moving APC. It's very difficult because it's a slow rotation. You don't get any attack speed, so you can't ramp up and really force someone. Oh, I see a little opening. I can run all 4 shots. No, you got to play it slow. You got to allow the opponent to kind of take over. So a Kai'Sa, a champion that quite literally is meant to dive you full combo, and we didn't even touch on it. Thalos goes back to the Xin Zhao. Guess who gets Darius?
Okay, so here's the thing. We were so focused on Castle from game 2, and Manitoba Bisons were too, that we completely forgot Brown Man Darius exists, and the instant lock on that Darius as well. Manitoba Bisons, I mean, the good thing is at least you know what you're running into, so you can still pick a top laner to try and deal with it. I just don't know if Tomato Tom has something that can really deal with it here. I thought the Graves would have been a fine pick into that Darius. You do actually outrange him. Okay. Teemo is viable on this patch. I will say that.
I hate that came through your lips. I hate that you even said that line. I hate it too.
But the good news for us, and not so much for Manitoba. Why am I saying Minnesota? Manitoba Bisons here is that Teemo does not do well into Darius. Darius will chew him up, spit him out, blend him in the process. There we go. There's a different Yordle who can actually deal with Darius. The Kennen pick is a counter. It is Tomato Tom's highest played solo queue champion. I just don't know if it's enough to overcome the sort of player gap here.
And the roughest part is we can't even look at it as its own solo lane, right? Because of the fact that Thalos quite literally has pulled Castle up to the top side. Both games, that's something that we have to highlight. It will be a 2v2. No matter what, most likely going to be a 2v2 at every single point. So we'll have to keep eyes on that. Manitoba Bisons, though, are going to focus that mid lane. Like you stated, RMC, saying, look, it's there. We don't want to deal with it. The Silas was banned following up a potential Yone ban. It has to be said, considering you have Darius and Olaf there, I feel it's fair to ban out the Yone.
Yeah, kind of. I'm struggling because I'm looking at the damage profile. I would like magic damage to come through from Team Ambition here for Rascal instead of physical, but you're right. The Yone just has to be removed off the table after that last game's performance. Like I said, I don't think it necessarily necessitates a ban, but it's certainly something that you have to be very, very careful of. And I think the Silas was definitely a good ban when you picked in something like that, Kennen, to come through. Now, Rascal does play some mages. He has played an Azir and a Cassiopeia, and I think both of those would actually be very solid picks into what we're seeing from Manitoba Bisons right now. They are an engaged comp that wants to go in, and Azir can force that disengage. Cassiopeia can petrify any of them coming in. Talon mid? Okay, there we go.
I like we were both scratching our heads like, what? But we're still getting the other hovers. This would be crazy if this is locked in.
No.
Okay. Back to the Yasuo. Bit rougher of a composition to play with. Remember, Rascal had pretty much everything in the bucket, and it was still barely close. But if now that Draven's going to be locked in, this feels
it's
like
not
a complete
Draven.
solo queue. Come on.
It's not gonna be,
Okay,
it's gonna be Alistair. Like, I mean, okay, Draven would actually work here because Draven's actually a hard counter into Kai'Sa, but no, like, I don't think All For One actually play. Well, he does play Draven actually, so I can't say he doesn't play it. The Alistair works better for the team, right? If you pick the Draven here, it's more of a selfish play, and considering how we've seen Team Ambition play towards the carry being Rascal here, you'd want to enable him. The Alistair is just a great answer to that Nautilus as well. Now, they are, again, very heavy on the physical damage here. I am a little bit concerned about that, and Manitoba Bisons, that critical game 3, they're going to pick Kep's all-time best champion, that Vladimir here. It's not necessarily a great lane into the Yasuo because a lot of times if you get knocked up, you're done for anyways. And if you don't get knocked up, you've burnt a 20-something second cooldown for something that Rascal can charge up in about 3 seconds. So not a great matchup for the Vladimir, but this one's a comfort pick, much like the Darius for Brahman Darius.
I mean, we were waiting for it. right? This is everything that we just talked about has been thrown out the window. I feel like we were hyping up, oh, TAB, we were hyping up some of these characters, we were hyping up some. I feel we can throw it all out the window because it's now down to one-trick ponies getting a chance to show off their stuff, right? Like, Darius came out, it was left open whether they meant to or not. We have the Yasuo out of nowhere for Rascal as well. And then on the other side, we see Tom on his cannon, and then the Vladimir for, like, come on. You can't say this isn't both teams going like, screw it, we're letting our carries be carries.
Yeah, true. I mean, if you want to go into it, Thalos, Xin Zhao is one of his most played. Zev's known for his Kai'Sa as well. It's basically all comfort. And I will say, though, if we evaluate the draft, just as draft, ignore the nameplates here. I know it's hard to do. Brahman Darius getting Darius. Our producer's going nuts in my ear right now for that particular pick. He's the number one. Yeah, okay, Hyper. I know he's the number one Darius in NA. Okay, we get that. But he's still facing up against, a Kennen. And if we just look at how the compositions run, I do think that Team Ambition here have a bit of a rougher composition to try and play through. They don't have as good range, and they need to once again try and play through Rascal. Whereas when I look at Manitoba Bisons here, their comp is actually pretty cohesive. The only pick I kind of don't like was the Xin Zhao because of the way the outs might interact, and you might knock everybody away from the Sicing Maelstrom. But Hemoplague, Sicing Maelstrom is a deadly combo, and they don't have to initiate with that. You get set up by that Nautilus here for Sync Juice, and Sync Juice has played support amazingly well in both games on the Alistar. If he plays the Nautilus at that same level, I have very little doubt we're going to see Manitoba Bisons get some amazing engages coming through.
Yeah, and in a situation where they actually had trouble in that bottom side, I think that's something that we really have to clear up. You pointed it out. It was one of your major points as to why Manitoba Bisons had issues is because of the roaming. Coming out of Turk, they couldn't punish that surfing. Now you have it, right? Now we see TAB might actually have to put some pressure down to the bottom side. But I also want to talk about another fact, right? So far in games 1 and 2, TAB have looked so strong in terms of those early game, I want to say early game global objective takes, whatever you want to say. This time around, are they going to have that same level of consistency? Do you feel this composition is going to allow them to go for that first Drake and that first Rift Herald?
No, but I also didn't think they should have gotten priority last time either. And a lot of it just came off Castle last game on that Lee Sin, getting everywhere, getting those early 202 kills before the 202 scoreline, pardon me, before the dragon even spawned. Damn it, Hyper, our producer's continuously zooming in on this Darius here. This game, if Castle can do the same, yes, I think they get priority. But if not, no. Seraphine Alistar should not have priority over this Kai'Sa Nautilus at 5 minutes. Mid lane, maybe the Yasuo has priority here, but it comes down to the junglers. Is Thalos or Castle going to get ahead?
So, story time. I had a buddy when I was surprisingly playing on a team, right? And he was a Darius one-trick. The number of times that we have scarred other teams by letting the Darius through haunts me right now. Because, as you stated, this is a player that not only is a Darius one-trick, but has made it to scouting grounds and has this reputation of a Darius. It is wholly terrifying that he is able to get it in a game 3. And no matter what, I feel all of my talking points are going to be drawn up to that top side. How well is he going to play? How much can he get ahead? Or will the Bisons be able to deal with them? But you see on this bottom side, we get to see a little bit of poke going down. No pops on the Kai'Sa passive though, so for all the damage, All For One and Turk are able to mitigate quite a bit of it.
Yeah, they barely took any damage there, and you have to keep in mind Seraphine's got the sustain as well here, so if you're going to keep opting trades, it will actually favor the side of Team Ambition. Now, I do want to draw our attention back to Brahman Darius. One, because the cameras were on him, and two, because Brahman Darius and Castle actually invaded to start and got spotted on a ward. So Thalos is now instantly matching, and we're getting vertical jungle here. What is the range on that grab?
We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it. It's balanced. It's very balanced here. Brahman Darius abusing the level 2 spike that he was able to get. Tomato Tom, of course, having to eat that damage and play very far back now with that chunk. You know that Brahman Darius is going to punish you as soon as level 3 and 4 hit.
And both these side lanes have to be so scared and so worried right now because you know it's vertical jungle. Tomato Tom has to be careful. If he gets grabbed one more time, he has to be aware that Castle might be waiting in the flanks going for those axes to finish him off. And likewise for All For One and Turk here, Taythalis is a threat. And there we go, the grab lands, and Castle's waiting in the wings.
And it's 4 stacks, right?
Oh my
An
goodness.
axe will kill him. Are they gonna do it? Yeah, that's it. It doesn't matter. It's over. It's over. Game over. I'm throwing down my headset. I'm gone. Brownman Darius has got a kill. I'm terrified. I'm scared.
Okay, you know, this is God King Darius for Brown Man Darius here. He's just trying to live up to that, and that was exactly what I was talking about. You land that hook, and Tomato Tom's so low. That dive, I want to point out that Brown Man Darius got the damage off, so Castle didn't even take the turret aggro on that dive because Tomato Tom just got corralled out of turret safety range. And unfortunately for Taythalis, you don't have that ease of dive in this bot lane when there's an Alistar there. He's still looking, but if they're under turret, you can't dive.
There's something to be said when a team knows how to prep a tower dive and prep a gank, and when they can't, whether it's by a position or not. And Sync took a tower shot, which means that they can possibly finish this off. He's extremely low, but with Zeph running interference, it's not going to happen. Meanwhile, on top side, Tomato Tom burn fly. He's already out of lane.
Yeah, Castle just stuck around, actually. St. Juice now.
Yeah, now they're going to try and take a chance. Exhaust goes down. Turk is going to go very low. One more auto attack takes it, and Zev is granted the kill. Kept in the mid lane, is taking a little bit of damage, but it doesn't matter, right? Zev on his signature Kaisa is hopefully going to help carry his team through the mid and early game.
Yeah, and huge props to St. Juice here. I think that it's more the Nautilus than the Kaisa on that particular engage, knowing how much damage he could take and the shield being able to soak so much as well. Seraphine doesn't have that much damage in the early game, and yeah, just wasn't able to finish off Sync before Zev finished off Turk here. But there's still no answer for Team Ambition in this bot lane. The whole bot lane belongs to Manitoba Bisons here, and they need to respect that. They need to play carefully, and if the Bisons play their cards right here, they should be able to pick up this dragon no contest.
Not the most optimal that you would like, right? A Cloud Drake to kick things off. Normally you want the Ocean Dragon, you know, get a little bit of HP back, but you'll take it, right? Stacking to try and get the dragons up will help a little bit. It'll also give you an objective to play for instead of just the lanes. However, right now we're seeing a lot of issues come down. Rascal winning out pretty heavily in this mid lane. Health advantage, CS advantage, and in the skills, Rascal didn't even jump and kept pop the pool preemptively.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with this Vladimir matchup. It's not comfortable into the Yasuo. Your early game is weaker than Yasuo, so you can't threaten St. Juice.
Oh, that's going to be a knockup into the last breath. Remember, Kev doesn't have anything, and Rascal follows as well. A first blood tower dive. It was messy, but it doesn't matter. It got the job done.
I mean, it's not really the first blood tower dive. We already saw first blood in the tower dive top side. This is yet another one. And again, St. Juice trying to make the play happen. You've got a Vladimir. He doesn't have to damage. You need Taythalis there if you're trying to do that. And unfortunately, Team Ambition had Castle. Manitoba Bisons didn't have Taythalis there. The ganks continued to be clean. Turk actually roaming all the way up here once again, you know, just clearing the wards. And where's the punish? We sit Kaisa for Zev. You're supposed to punish all for one, but without the jungler, without the support part of me, they're not able to look for the Seraphine just yet.
I still can't believe that we're basically getting full solo queue mode and it's working, right? Like, the Yasuo this time around for Rascal, paying big dividends, right? 10 CS up, about 15. Winning out on that lane, bottom lane, finally Zev is able to get a little bit of control, all for one, realizing that it's a little different than the Jhin. Top lane to Darius, yes, getting shoved down in gold, but as soon as that Ghost and flashes up, Tomato Tom had better be out of lane.
Oh yeah, and look at Rascal as well, still bullying out Kep there. Every time we look, Taythalis is roaming up, Sync Juice is roaming up. They're sending everything in the kitchen sink, but they just can't find the engage. And again, it's not going to change anytime soon. Your Vladimir needs at least the Mythic to even begin to threaten with jungle pressure, with support pressure. No Mythic, no kill threat to come through. Ghost now back up for Brown Man Darius here, and I am worried for this Lightning Mouse.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel the spectator won't even swap up to the top side. We'll just hear the death call of Tomato Tom just dying in lane, and you're just like, well, that's a top lane, right? That is all that's there. So Brown Man Darius now pushing in. Remember, he is down a little bit in CS, and surprisingly, Tomato Tom opted into trying to go, I think, for the piece of the wow, my brain is
Seeker's Arm Guard?
Seeker's Arm Guard. Yeah, I was gonna say Zanya's Hourglass, the component for it, but I can't believe I forgot that. That is I'm slipping there. I'm slipping. Anyway, in the mid lane, Rascal is gonna trade back and forth. This time the trade is a little bit more even, right? Klepto able to stay at about half health, doing the same to Rascal.
It's kind of even because Kept is able to continue healing himself up, but once that ignites back up for Rascal, it's kind of similar to that top lane situation where the Ghost is the kill threat for Brown Man Darius. The Ignite is the kill threat for Rascal, and they can continue to look for, you know, this potential of killing. It is almost back up here, and I think that's why we're seeing All For One and Turk actually completely leave the bot lane and roam up here.
Ooh,
oh,
all right.
That's Ignite up, Kept dead.
Yep, that's 100% correct. This is a kill lane in the mid and top. Manitoba Bisons can't fight it at all, right? Rascal and Brown Man Darius have complete control of their lanes.
Yeah, pretty much here. I mean, Brown Man Darius is down CS, and when Tomato Tom's been able to shove out, kind of, yes. There is a secondary threat in the top lane for Tomato Tom, and that is Vision on Castle. I think if they have Vision on Castle, Tomato Tom can actually play a little bit aggressively because Darius will struggle into the Slicing Maelstrom. And you do have Flash available for Tomato Tom. But if no Vision on Castle, Tomato Tom can't exert any sort of pressure. And now Taythel is just barely going to get away. No Ghost. And Castle.
Brown Man Darius is just like, nah, we're taking this. We are taking this. What are you flashing from? What are you flashing from, Taythel? You are flashing into your death. It doesn't matter. Brown Man Darius graciously allows Castle to pick up a kill. And I say that with all intentions because the Noxious Guillotine is still up.
Yeah, I think if anything, he's actually holding it for the threat to kill Tomato Tom as well. Because if Noxian Guillotine's down, again, Tomato Tom has windows to play through here. Herald did get picked up by Castle here. I'm curious where Castle actually opts to drop this Herald. I almost want to see him drop it into the mid lane onto Kept right now because Vladimir can't stop the Herald push on his own. And with a Yasuo, with an Olaf, you can easily crack that first turret, open up the map, and then suddenly Kept doesn't have a safe lane to farm it in.
Top lane already going in favor of Brown Man Darius. Mid lane kept down 0-2 in solo fights, I might add. So what's left is the bottom lane. Taythal pretty, I want to say pretty late into this early game, is going to give his best effort. And it's 3 to the top side. An immediate pull into Last Breath means Tomato Tom is dead. They're going to try the same on the bottom side, though. How much can they get? A nice knock up into Cleanse, though. They are fighting this. No way do TAB win this. Yes, they do. 2 members hold off 3. And MNB, the Bisons, are sent packing to the plains as Turk takes the win. The Bisons are collapsing at the seams. The herd is scattering as Team Ambition Black go ahead and take top lane for first brick.
Turk's exhaust was so on point there to stop the damage coming through, and they barely survived. The encore from All For One as well, forcing St. Juice to flash out early. There wasn't enough follow-up CC to allow Zev and Taythal to actually lock down All For One and Turk. And Team Ambition, they're starting to take over the game again. This time, it's not Castle. It's back to Rascal, like we saw in Game 1 here. 3-0 on this Yasuo. We joke about an 0-10 Yasuo power spike, but the 10-0 Yasuo power spike, that's a very, very real thing.
You want to know the worst thing? It's not even 10-0. You need 2. That's what it feels like a lot of the time with Yasuo's, right? You only need 2 kills. You only need 3. And when it's in a solo kill situation, you know Kept is feeling the burn here, right? He has not had a single chance to even farm up as much as like. He's down 20 CS now at 12 minutes, so he is hurting for any sort of gold. He is down a level, might be another here shortly, but they're going to try and take it. Rest of the team is coming. They're going to get the pull off, and I don't think they're going to try and dive. This Turk is ready to go. That's going to be a knock up into the flash, and Last Breath only catches 1, but that's the only one they need. Kept is going to go into the zone as Noxious Guillotine is not used. It doesn't matter as 2 are dead. And the 5-man collapse is going to work wonders as Team Ambition Black go, cool, we got top lane, we'll take 5 plates in mid and extend our gold lead to even more. 23.8k versus 18.5 means TAB have a commanding lead here in the early game.
I mean, it was less about the top lane and more about the Dragon. They took Dragon and rotated to mid instantly there. And Tethal is now 2 levels down. You don't get to fight this.
No, you do not. Castle on his own says, hey, don't forget about me. Turk throw the headbutt for good measure. And another axe to the back of St. Juice's head. TAB rule everything on the Rift right now, and MMB are at their win.
Yeah, mid lane about to fall here very, very shortly. And I had called for it earlier because I want to see mid lane go down. Kept not have a safe lane to go to. But actually, because top lane turret fell first, you can always send Kept to that top side to farm up. The only problem is Kept doesn't have teleport to join the rest of the fights. And I still think that's a better option because I think Tomato Tom's Slicing Maelstrom at this point is going to be more impactful than the Hemo Plague. If you get Tom to the fights, you pair it with St. Juice right now, Tethal and Zeb might still have enough damage to find picks in a 4v3 situation.
It's such a big if, but it's the only one they have, right? It is the only chance that they are going to be granted potentially one last time. As that's going to be last breath. That's going to be the bait in. They're going to throw down the Hemo Plague. Rascal
there we go.
Flash. He almost gets out, but I mean, here is Castle. They went for it and can't get anything kept. He's going to be allowed to farm up a little bit. Rascal looking like he's going to recall.
I will say, I think that was a little over-ambitious on Rascal's part. Even if Tomato Tom didn't show up, you didn't have Ignite, and you didn't have enough damage to finish off Kept. Kept recognizing that turn, and Tomato Tom, that's what I'm talking about when I say send Tomato Tom into mid lane. The Slicing Maelstrom with that CC can set up 4 kills right now. Unfortunately, in this particular case, Castle managed to bail out Rascal, and that's out and flash down for Tomato Tom. Brown Man Darius coming for his pound of flesh.
At this point, the pound of flesh costs about 56 gold, I think is all it is. But he's going to get a 3-for-1 special. Or no, he's not. Yes, he is. All right. Oh, I didn't even doubt it. That's going to be a kill, though. 1-for-1. All for one was a little bit late. And actually gets dragged in, but Tethal can't follow up as the rest of the team is here. St. Juice, I might be falling. They do get the catch and over the wall to go into the encore. It lands on multiple as Kept is also going to go run down. They're just going to tower dive this. They aren't worried at all. Get a knock up on Zev, who tries to get a killer instinct out, but only kills their own instinct. That will be a double kill for Rascal as TAB are looking to mow down this game 3.
Just continuing the dives at this point. Castle a little too deep. Actually,
No
way.
Is Tomato Tom also going to... Okay, here comes...
No!
He flashes. Is he going to get it? One more auto. No! Oh, that's going to be alive. The cannon is able to squeak by with 10 HP. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was Red Buff taking on Tomato Tom as well. I thought he was dead to rights. I can't believe he got away with that there. That was just insane. But it still doesn't change the fact that Manitoba Bison's just lost control of the top side, just got completely run over by Team Ambition Black. The good takeaways from Manitoba Bisons is, yes, first of all, Tomato Tom did survive that. And second of all, they killed Brahman Darius. Brahman Darius is killable. He actually messed up the Noxian Guillotine, didn't get the resets there, which was absolutely key. So Bisons can look to try and punish Brahman Darius, who's constantly pushing, to a certain degree, almost overextending with this level of aggression. But for now, the dive might come in again. Rascal waiting in the wings.
This is just playtime for them. They are practicing for their next round of playoffs, is what it feels like, right? At what point should a Darius and Yasuo be tower diving? At what point should they be? Apparently now, but, you know, whatever. That is going to be them backing off, though, respectfully, allowing Tomato Tom to live.
Oh, the numbers advantage in the mid lane. All for one actually getting caught out here. And it just brings me back to game 1, where All for One on Syndra was getting caught out quite a bit. This time, though, surviving yet again. The Seraphine just seems to have more survivability. You asked when to dive. Now to dive, Orbital. Now.
It's not stopping. They're having a blast with this.
Oh,
this is Leandri's burn, and that's going to be Turk, of course, tanking up. Why not? Tomato Tom is bounced around like a poor pinball. And down goes the Electric Mouse. Dragon is up. That'll be the second for TAB, third of the game. And that extra MR and armor only due to give Tab even more diving power.
Yeah, Manitoba Bison's good answer though, at least for this Dragon. They are going to be able to pick up Herald for Taythalis there, and Kept is just continuing to power farm. That is the hope for Manitoba Bisons. It is going to be on Kept to try and carry this in conjunction with Tomato Tom and Zeb, of course, but you do need that Hemoplague multiplier, and you do need the damage from this Vladimir. My fear is that we're at 18 minutes, just like game 2, 10k gold difference, and Kept is a long ways away from really hitting that power spike.
A little bit longer. Rascal, though, finding out that he is getting chunked out on his own. This might be a chance, but the last breath means he lives, and that's going to be the Tag Killer Instinct. Okay. It is going to be a great wind wall. That is the Immortal Shield Book keeping him up. Almost gets a tag onto Kept, but you know what? They'll take it. Meanwhile, their bottom lane is getting decimated as the tower goes down, but that was a very big shutdown going into, I believe, the pocket of Zev.
Yeah, that's absolutely massive. I mean, inner turret does give more gold, so I think there was a 700, 800 global gold given to everybody, spread out among Team Ambition Black, but the shutdown gold on Rascal makes it worth it. And in this case, you're trying to localize all the gold for Manitoba Bisons on some of the carries. Kept would have been ideal, but Zev picking it up is not bad either. Zev also gets the solo gold on that outer turret top side. And now, if Zev can find all for one in the fight, if you can burst out Rascal to kick things off, and it's possible there's enough CC here that he can't even get the wind wall off, then the Bisons have an avenue to try and come back in.
They have to reach that point first. As right now, it's crazy to think about, but Team Ambition Black are actually prepping for Baron right now.
Yeah.
It is 19.5 minutes. They're happy to prep for it. They're happy to set up. And who's really going to stop them, right? Kept right now is 0-4-2, just barely completed that Proto Belt. We do see that that Kraken Slayer in the back pocket of Zev. The problem is right now I'm not really seeing any Thorn Mails, any Grievous Wounds for 3 or 4 champions on the side of TAB who are absolutely going to heal through the entirety of your kits.
Yeah, I mean, Seraphine provides that healing. Castle, Rascal, Brahman, Darius, all of them right now have tools to do that. It is worth noting, though, Brahman Darius is running Stride Breaker, not that Gore Drinker, so the healing's not quite as strong for Darius. And here we go. Baron started up. Turk looking to prevent any engages here, and Taythalis is still a screen away.
They're going to go ahead and watch as Turk is chunked out a little bit. A nice double knock up into the Encore. They're actually just going to peel off. They say, listen, it was down to 3k, but we'll just take 2 kills. It's not the jungler, but it's enough, right? Taythalis is not going to have that easy of a time. So they go back, and Manitoba Bisons rightly concede the Baron?
I don't know if they are. They should at this point. If Taythalis looking for the steal, does get taken down, and it is secured. I want to highlight where Tomato Tom was and all that. He was sitting at base, ready for the teleport flank with that Sizing Maelstrom, and because Captain Singju's got caught that early, it just nullified the whole game plan of the Bisons there. We didn't get to see Hemoplague and Sizing Maelstrom layered together, and I think that's why Team Ambition made the right call when they said, hey, we caught Kept, we caught Singju's, peel off Baron, finish these 2 off first, then we go back and take Baron.
They make it look so easy, right? They're making it look like it is the easiest thing in the world. There's gonna be a flash up with the Proto Belt, but knock back into All For One, who is going to die here. But again, it doesn't really matter. That is a sacrificial lamb that you are okay giving over, as you are going to take a few more Axe Lands on 2, and they might be willing to chase. The knockup is going to be flashed out of Kept, is going to dive out, but the tower is not down, and I think they might have been up a little bit more than they could chew. Last breath is going to be used as the tank is used. Turk is willing to take it all for his team, and it benefits them so much. Tab are going to run it down for an ace, as Team Ambition Black wipe the Bisons off the map once again. 24-5 at 22 minutes. Death timers are just a hair short, so they'll just take the inhibitor and walk away. Team Ambition Black have gotten such an amazing and commanding lead. They're willing to do just about anything.
Dragon in a minute here for Team Ambition as well, and it should be Team Ambition's here. Manitoba Bisons, I applaud the attempt. That was what I was talking about with that Slicing Maelstrom Hemoplague combo. And they even caught Team Ambition under a turret. Everything went right for them. They still lost, Orbital. they did not win that team fight. And that tells me right now that Manitoba Bisons, not only do you need to get a perfect team fight, you need to get it under a turret, preferably 2, and you need a numbers advantage. If there's enough people queuing for Rascal, you probably don't win that. The only person who died in that fight for Team Ambition Black was All For One. And you're a squishy Seraphine. You're a support. You're not an AP carry.
There's just... I have no words. I don't know. I don't know what to say because everything he's just said is true. They have, that they have to make that perfect option happen, but
Tom?
If this continues, it's not going to work. Tomato Tom is taken extremely low, and that's just the axe to the head. Tomato Tom is going to bleed dead, but remember, that's going to be the almost kill flash over, but a flash out means it's actually his death. Brown made Darius flash away from his team, so a little bit of miscommunication, but I mean, it's a 1-for-1. Meanwhile, Rascal is pushing on the top side. Inhibitor tower should go down very quickly as the last few minions attack. No, good draw by Kept. It's going to live with about 5 HP.
Yeah, I mean, Rascal's just going to walk up the next wave and take that anyways. Baron buff will actually be off by then, so you can't rely on the minions to kind of finish that off for you. Never mind, he's not waiting for the wave. He's just going in right there. 1-for-1 trade. Manitoba Bisons will take that every time. And Tom's death time is actually shorter. So if you're going to do that, it's kind of worth. The problem is, what else can the rest of the team do? Can they stop this push? This one, maybe. But topside inhibitor is exposed.
At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Rascal just straight up continues the split push, right? With Dragon down, there's no reason to leave. Nice little double slow and double stun is easily picked up, and you can see Manitoba Bisons are trying to force a fight. They know this is their last chance.
Baiting.
You said it right. They need to find a perfect fight under a tower, under and, overman the other opponents. So chances are being made, but not much damage to follow.
And right now, Team Ambition is just baiting on the bot side. They're giving Rascal space to make the plays here. If anything, Manitoba Bisons need to try and pull that trigger on that bot side. Without Rascal, you can win these fights. The big carry is Rascal.
Well, they're going to try and chase. Rascal is going to be able to walk a little bit more, as he does have a little bit of a GA. He's going to get a knockup, but a knockup to follow means Tomato Tom might die. He is going to be resurrected on the end. Rascal is looking to 1v3, but a little bit of a poke back means Castle is going to try and help out. Team Plague is going to end it. But remember, it doesn't matter as all the inhibitors are down. They burn so much time. They burn so much effort. They have no ultimates except for the Crescent Guard. This base defense is going to be the toughest one of their lives.
Let's go, Bisons here. You have the numbers advantage. Rascal's dead. 30 seconds. It's a 5v4. Just need to keep on clearing here. And they don't have the ults they need to take the fight. But they survive for now. And that's a lot of gold headed towards Manitoba Bisons here. You just need to sit in base, pick it all up, ignore the Baron. You don't care about that. Dragon, that's 3 minutes away. Problem for later. Step 1, farm up the gold, get the items, and survive the next couple of minutes.
I'm like, I don't know why I found that so funny, but it's just like, Dragon's away in 3 minutes. It's fine. It's fine. You don't have to worry about that.
It's that meme, right? It's fine. Everything's burning around you, but it's fine. The most important thing is get farm first. And then maybe, hey, I have seen games turn back from these sort of situations, and it usually comes from the AD carry. Zev's in a good spot right now, man. I don't know what you're talking about. There's hope for the Bison.
The worst part is I agree with you. The worst part is I actually agree with you on that point. Zev has yet to really pop off. And not only that, 4 kills, right? 3 of those kills, I'm pretty sure, have been 700 gold shutdowns. So that's why you can see a 3.5 item pocket for this ADC, which is actually matching a majority of TAB right now, right? In 1v1 settings, most likely not going to win. If Rascal has flash, that's a pretty easy pick. But as Zev is allowed to pump out damage, it is something to be cause for worry. You have the ability to cut them down. However, with Baron spawning here, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Like you said, give it up. Manitoba Bisons are taking your advice, and TAB will run potentially over to end the game or look for the soul.
Okay, so worth noting, mid lane inhib has respawned here. So you only have to deal with supers in 2 waves. Stopwatch picked up by multiple members of the Bisons here. Tethal is kept. Zev, Tom already has Azonias here. I want to see pots being picked up. Bisons don't care about what happens after this. There's a bunch of bounties. There's a bunch of kills. You win this fight, you buy yourself an extension on your life, and you'll have gold to buy other items. But pot up right now.
Oh, Thalos actually
Oh,
got caught a little
no.
bit. Crescent Guard is used. That's a huge ultimate that they want. And again, Brown Man Darius just straight up solos him out.
That's one,
He
that's two.
says the axe is here. Double kill, making it triple. Brown Man Darius is popping off. You don't want to give a penta to this man. That's going to be the stolen quadra. Brown Man Darius is going to chase after Kept. Are they going to end the game? Yes. They will know they're going to try and give it over. They want to give it over. They want to give a chance, but it doesn't finish. That will be a triple kill to end it. That will be Team Ambition Black coming back with a vengeance with the reverse sweep.
Team Ambition Black just wanted to give us everything tonight. They gave us such a close, crazy game 1 where there was everything. Game 2, game 3, they went, okay, we lost game 1, serious mode, guys, playoff time. And they just turned it on, crushed everybody there with different members as well. Brown Man Darius coming in for Axum. Like I said, I don't think Axum would have been a downgrade necessarily. I don't think it's fair. Axum got Malphite and he still had the most kills on his team. It's just Team Ambition Black have such a deep team right now, and going further into playoffs, teams need to take notes. Yes, this is not Mad City, but it has components of them, and they are still the closest thing, like I said at the beginning of the night, to the reigning champions.
So scary, right? So scary to watch them be able to clean this up and take home a win. So congratulations to them and to the Manitoba Bisons. You know what? Rebranding of the name, it doesn't matter. You still played one hell of a series. The pentakill, you know, for Zev in that game 1, I think you can hold your head high. Beautiful, beautiful job. But at the end of the day, it will be this squad, Team Ambition Black, moving on to face off, I believe, against the winner of, let me see if I can double check, please, because I'm a little bit slow. It will be the winner between Meme City Cornballs and Michigan State University, and so that will hopefully be next week, but that'll be very, very fun to see. With that, though, we'll go ahead and close out tonight's broadcast, so thank you so much for tuning in to the Unified Advanced League here as we head into the playoffs. My name has been Orbital and is Orbital. With me is Random Minion Caster, and we will see you all next time.